Hello friends, welcome. My name's Popeye. Today we're playing some more Higurashi Chapter 8, Matsuribayashi. Before we get into it, this game has some trigger warnings. If any of these things are not for you, please by all means find some place that you'd rather spend your time this evening. This game includes themes such as murder, death, torture, blood, gore, dismemberment, suicide, body horror, child abuse, kidnapping, any of those things against a minor. If you missed any of what I said, feel free to ask me to repeat it, or check down below in the description where I have a list of all of those trigger warnings. Alright, so, last time we started collecting these fragments. There's 52 fragments to collect. For this part, I don't think we actually have to do them in the specific order, but there's a specific order you have to do after the game's done to get the secret ending, which I'll probably do off-stream because of how long and tedious this has been. But it also seems like that order so far is matched up with the order we can physically do them in. Because they have restrictions, like for example this one, Riki has to have a fever and Jiro has to have a slight fever, are the requirements. And I know we haven't met that requirement yet. So if we try to do this, you get like a broken version. I think if you get a broken version on this, I think that's what stops you from being able to get the the secret ending later. So, as I said, there's 52 of these memories. We've gone through, according to my notepad, the first 14. So we're going to start at memory fragment 15, and I have a Google thing on this side which says, you know, we're on screen 3, so if I look at screen 3, this one right here is 37th. This one's the 39th, and this one's the 25th, and so on. So we have to do these in a specific order, but like I said, I think this is only required later for the secret ending and not something we need to do right now, but it seems to work. Hello, Sam says, hello, Avier. How are we all doing this wonderful, wonderful day?
Do you want to say hello, Cheerio?
Oh yes, we can say hi to the cat. Awful. Well, I hope the cat will cheer you up slightly. Say hi, Cheerio.
What do you have to say? Yes. Oh, look at his eyes.
You want off? Okay. Okay, you don't have to stay on. Where are you going? Yeah, you can make it through that, okay. Sorry to hear both your days have been bad. Here, where are you going off to, huh? What's on your nose? Give me your nose. Hey. There he goes. He had something on his nose. Alright. Looking for memory fragment 15. Which is on screen 4. This one. We're still in fragments. Okay, so even though this one's fragment required first, this is like the 15th, and we've already done ones like this one that had prerequisites. So. I assume that means Samus says he posted somewhere. I will take a look at it. I died this afternoon. I was like asleep for... Oh, that's probably the fan. It is, like most of the world, stupid hot here. Is the fan hitting the mic? I can try and make some adjustments to that. Okay, is that any better? Ah, yes, I saw that. Yeah, I'm sorry for everyone living in the US right now. It's not a great day for anyone. Yeah, there's lots of horrible implications for that. even just beyond who's affected right now. Let me know if the mic is better now. I took some of the foam stuff and moved it so that it blocks where the fan was hitting the mic. Hopefully that's better. Hopefully it's doing its job. A little better? Okay, a little means it could be a bit more better. Give me 1 sec. I feel like I can make this a little bit better. Alright, this might be better. I doubled up some padding. We've adjusted the fan so it's not pointing. It was on oscillate, so you're probably hearing like a... And hopefully it's not doing that anymore. You may, however, hear cat playing sounds in the background now. All right, cheerio. Perfect, thank you. And thanks for letting me know. It was distracting. Okay, I don't know who we currently are, but we're talking to Rika. When I asked Rika-chan, she said Satoko might have possibly gone up to the mountain behind the shrine. She's fond of going there. That mountain is covered in trees, vines, fallen logs, and she really likes that area. Any child would dream of having a secret base, and to Satoko, her secret base is the whole mountain. However, the mountains were underdeveloped territory, making them a dangerous place that was easy to get lost in. I guess we're her brother? Maybe we're her brother at this point. Yeah, there we go. As her brother, I'm a little concerned that she spends so much time on it. Maybe I should worry more about myself getting lost since I rarely come here. The mountain gets dark quickly when evening falls. If I still can't find her, I should look for her somewhere else.
Satoko! Satoko!
I'm yelling as loud as I can, but in the woods, my voice doesn't carry that well. According to Rika-chan, she's making her secret base in this area. She goes up there alone to expand it. What does she mean by expand? It's a secret base. She must not want anyone to find it. Does that mean she's setting up some kind of traps? Considering that, I should have noticed the traps on the mountain before one got me. Suddenly, my foot sunk in the ground and snagged on something like a jump rope, tied between dried leaves. I heard some noise from up above, and then a big ball made of branches fell right next to me. It had to be one of those playful traps Satoko loved. If I wasn't so lucky, the ball would have hit my head. Your head okay, bud? I hear it, like, smacking off the floor.
It's his elbow.
His elbow?
Yeah. Sorry, Stream.
Stream loves cat, it's fine. As her brother, I should stop her from doing things like this. When I see her brilliant smile, I can't say anything else. I haven't seen that smile in some time. Okay, so this is pre the time their parents die. So they're still living with their parents. Alright, her mother remarries. One of the things. And once again, it's having issues with reading out this text. Satoko says, he threw an ashtray at me. So she says, no, that happened with our previous father. The current one hasn't done that. He locked me out on the veranda. He didn't feed me lunch. Complained that I got him the wrong brand of cigarettes, and he slapped my face saying I shouldn't be a picky eater. She isn't talking about her current stepfather. Things about all our different stepfathers, okay? We've got multiple, have mixed themselves up in her head. Every time our mother remarried, we had to call a different man our father. The word father is no word that should be taken lightly. If you don't truly acknowledge a man as your father, how can you call him that? It's how much weight it carries. However, just to make things smooth and peaceful, I used the word father even though I didn't want to. It was too difficult for Satoko, young as she was, to do the same. Ever since Satoko was very little, she's been having trouble with all of our stepfathers, and she's never opened up to our current one. Satoko, a father figure, is no longer someone she can trust. It's true that our current stepfather doesn't have any experience being a parent, so he sometimes gets rather upset with her. But ever since the incident where Satoko called the child abuse hotline, our stepfather regretted his mistake and tried his best to communicate with her. Even my mother realized how much Satoko had suffered emotionally. It was pointed out by the social worker. She's doing her part in trying to bring Satoko back into the family. But Satoko completely refuses to even try. It's understandable, though. Her childhood has been filled with misery. Satoko can only open up to me. That's why I have to be the one and only family member she can trust. Otherwise, she'll be all alone in this world. But a brother and sister alone can't be considered a family. Even if we don't get along now, we continue to communicate, even in a small way. We may be able to become a real family someday.
Satoko.
So, a couple things there. I don't think we ever knew before this. We knew she had a previous father, and I don't even think we knew she had a stepfather, let alone several, up until this point. Secondly, her calling the child abuse hotline it was sort of implied before that it was when they lived with the aunt and uncle. They just said previously, but it turns out they never called child protective hotline against the aunt. It was against one of these stepfathers. I don't think it's this one, considering Satoshi has said that he hasn't done anything yet, like the other ones have, but it's a bit open.
今のお父さんはだんだん優しくなってきたよ。サトコと仲直りしたいっていつも言ってる。
そんなの聞いたことありませんわ。
お父さんがそれを言おうとするとサトコが逃げちゃうからだよ。お父さんももっとサトコと話をしたがってる。もうかぼちゃを無理やり食べさせたりはしないって言ってたよ。
嘘ですわ。かぼちゃを食べるまでは食卓から出て行っちゃダメって何度も注意されましたわ。
Again, she isn't talking about her current stepfather.
とにかくニーニーと一緒に家に帰ろう。せっかくお母さんが福引きで当てたお食事券が無駄になっちゃうよ。予約制だから今日行かないと無効になっちゃう。ニー
ニーだけで行けばいいんですわ。私は一人でお留守番してるのが好きなんですの。
Satoko usually doesn't stay out playing this late. She knows we're going out, and that's why she's out here alone. Although I wanted to snap at Satoko, I controlled myself. Because she only has me. I can't scare her.
サトコ、帰ろう。食事に一緒に行くかどうかは帰ってから決めてもいいんじゃないかな。それにサトコに案内してもらわないと僕家に帰れない。ニーニ
ー、あれだけ何度も一緒に連れてってあげましたのに、まだここが覚えられませんの？まったくしょうがないニーニーですわね。
Satoko holds out her hand. She often says she's embarrassed to hold my hand in front of people, but she's holding out her hand right now. I took that hand, Satoko's fragile hand. I have to protect her as her big brother.
帰ろう、サトコ。
Ice cream always sounds really good. Is on screen 5. Okay, so even though that last one was titled was about Satoshi, It was really all about Satoko, really, and now we're learning more about Satoko. But through the eyes of Satoko. Hojo is my current father's family name. I was also Satoko Hatake, Satoko Yoshizawa, and also Satoko Matsura because of my previous fathers. Man, that's a lot of paperwork to change your name every couple of years. I'm still not used to being called Hojo-san. If someone calls me Satoko, then I know that person is talking to me. Satoko is the name I've been using since I was born. I don't understand why my mother keeps getting married and divorced. She's gonna get a divorce. Why does she get married? She's married. Why does she get a divorce? I've asked her before, but depending on the situation, her answers were different. When I asked her when she was married, she got angry. When I asked her after she got divorced, she cried. I don't understand the meaning of marriage, so I have no interest in drawing pictures of a bride in a wedding dress. I don't think I'll ever get married. I don't want to keep changing my child's last name. My teacher once asked me if I liked my mother. I think it was when I was in kindergarten in Okonomiya. That was a very difficult question, because sometimes I loved her very much, and sometimes I hated her very much. I couldn't decide. When my mother was nice, she smiled all the time. She made us happy. She thanked me for being her daughter. When my mother wasn't nice, she frowned all the time. She treated my brother and me very poorly. She told me I never should have been born. My teacher asked me if I liked my father. That was a very easy question, because I always hated him very much no matter who he was. My new fathers always treated me nicely at first, as if I was their real daughter. They always told me I could think of them as my real father. But they couldn't be my real father. Besides, I didn't even know my real father's face. How could I call them my father? I couldn't. That was disgusting. Right before the divorce, my fathers always became very irritated with me. They treated me like a cockroach. They told me they didn't have the money to feed me. They threw things at me. They locked me out on the veranda. So I could forget about them, because that was all in the past. I think that was a different teacher from a different school. But maybe that's true. Ever since Hojo became my father, my mother's been smiling. I haven't seen them get into a fight, as I have seen just before a divorce. They've had little arguments here and there, but those don't lead to divorce. They always make up. I'm sure they'll get a divorce sooner or later. Then it'll be the same old stuff with the family court, divorce settlements, a night flight, child support. So who knows how long this Hojo will be my father, so I don't even feel like calling him that. Samuses. Shouldn't be things like that. You should be taking better care of yourself. Sleep is always important. And I don't steal sleep. Stop telling people I steal sleep. In all seriousness, please do take care of yourself. I know it's hard, especially with everything that's gone on today. I know it's weighing heavily on a lot of people's minds. But yeah, please do your best to take care of you. Buddy, did you want this? We're looking at it. Not that, but this. He also treated me well at first. I didn't call him father, even after he asked me repeatedly. He became irritated. We'll get a divorce soon. When my father gets into this mood, a divorce is on the way. After divorce, it's my mother's turn to be irritated with me. Then she'll tell me she shouldn't have had me or she can't be happy because of me. Why is my existence causing problems for my mother? I asked my brother and he told me. If you have children, it's not easy to find someone to get married with. My mother, remarriage is a very important job, so I can understand having children around will cause problems. I think I finally understand the reason why I'm a nuisance to her. I asked my brother something else. One thing I will say is, people do have different sleep patterns. If if, like, good sleep for you, if you're the kind of person that, like, your mind's awake until, like, 2 a.m., that's fine. You can stay awake till 2 a.m., as long as you then get the sleep you need throughout the day. As for your sleep deprivation therapy, I mean, right there, it's not recommended unsupervised, heavily flawed. It doesn't sound like a great thing unless you, like, you have a doc that's really recommending it. Yeah. But that is one thing, like, if you are just laying in bed and it's not helping you, there's nothing wrong in my mind with getting up and going to do something, you know, going to read, going to clean that piece of the house that's bothering you.
Are you speaking from experience?
Not a whole. I'm not usually that kind of anxious person, personally. There have been some times where, like, something's been on my mind, like, I'll get up and I'll, like, write it down. Usually that's work-related, where I'll have thought of something, I'll get up, I'll write it down, and then I'll go back to sleep, and I'm usually much better after that. Yeah, my father does this all the time. My father's been an insomniac for, I don't even know how long. Basically his whole adult life. So it wasn't uncommon for him to, like, go to bed at, like, 10:30, wake up at, like, 11:30 midnight, come downstairs, like, do some Sudokus, watch some late-night TV for, like, 2-3 hours, and then go back to sleep. He basically did that every night most of his life, and continues to do so. Or he'll have different sleeping spots. So, like, he'll go from, like, his bedroom, he'll, like, come down, like, do some puzzles, and then he'll, like, go and sleep in my old bed, because they've redecorated my room now that I've left, is in the basement now. So sometimes he'll go down to the basement and sleep there, or on the couch, or something like that, and sometimes that change of scenery helps him as well. Yeah, and there's always other things. My brother has had some sleeping problems as well, and his doctor recommended him to take magnesium, like, half an hour before bed. So if you do have a family doctor, it's something you could chat about with them. Couch, yeah, a comfortable couch is great to sleep on. Yeah, and I'm painfully aware of that in the US, that doctors cost stupid amounts of money even for just basic stuff. Yeah. It's unfortunate. You can, like, I think if you got, like, a magnesium pill or something and you took it, like, that's probably safe. Just, if you're gonna try something, just make sure it is as safe as can be, if possible, but, like, let someone in your house know what you're doing in case there's some issue with it.
Have you tried melatonin?
Is your sleeping problem more related to just things going on inside your mind? I can understand that, especially today. That might help then. Although I don't know if I'd recommend just taking your stomach medicine to sleep. But maybe it's there to, like, help people get rest if their, like, stomach's upset. Why are children hated by new fathers? That's simple. It's because family members all have different roles. Okay, yeah. That's very understandable. I'm sure you've looked into it, so I don't have any advice I could give you in regards to that, unfortunately. Mother's job is to love her children. Father's job is to love the mother. That means I'm a nuisance to both my father and my mother. Okay. Notice right there, the text has started to change color. It's gone to this pink instead of this white. This game uses that as an indicator that you have advanced to a higher level of Himizawa Syndrome, that you're getting more paranoid. Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, I haven't had bad nightmares in a long time, like 25 years or something at this point. I used to have a lot of recurring nightmares growing up, and some, like, if I had like a week that was especially bad, then yeah, I'd have the same thing where I didn't want to sleep, and it would, like, I'd be fighting against it, and eventually it would take me. And probably because I was thinking about the nightmares, it made them more prominent in my head when I did actually fall asleep. Which isn't a great combination. Buddy, you gonna come up? Oh. My brother is more mature than me, so don't look down on him as a nuisance. Maybe I am. No, I'm definitely a nuisance. So now I know. Both my mother and father want me dead. But if they kill me, they'll be caught. That doesn't mean they won't kill me. Hi, buddy. Please don't step on my keyboard. If I were to look down the cliff, if no one was around, my mother and father would push me off for sure. My father's become abnormally nice to me recently. Started to act that way ever since I made the fake call. That was probably the worst random lurk you could have caught, Samus. No, for sure, that's just part of a plot to kill me. So I won't let them trick me. I'm sorry. Lately, when I listen very carefully, I can hear a voice apologizing. The voice sounds similar to mine. Her mother must be telling her that she shouldn't have been born. Sorry. But I won't apologize like that. I'll live, and I'm gonna strike back. I'll kill before I get killed. Sorry. Cheerio, what's your plan back there, bud? Besides getting hair all over my sound foam. Looking at the shadows? What one was that? That was 16? Yes. 17. Screen 4.
Cheerio. Little kitty butt.
The Hojo family is well known for going against the whole village during the dam conflict, but the husband and wife were rather aggressive. They fought a fierce battle, especially against the Sonozaki family. Although the whole village treated them coldly, the husband and wife didn't really care and kept on fighting. In a way, they were extremely strong-willed people. I'm sure their children had to go through a lot because of them, though. Satoko-chan and Satoshi-kun were treated coldly by the villagers as well. In addition to that, Satoko-chan and her stepfather didn't get along, so their stress levels must have reached their limit. So I'm the director of the local clinic, a rather respected member of society. People usually tell me a lot of things. So I was aware of the treatment they were receiving, even before I met them. I met Satoshi-kun first. Satoshi-kun came to the clinic because he felt ill from too much stress. Must have thought he had a cold. Examined him, he even told me that. But hearing his repeated sighs, and by seeing the exhausted look in his eyes, I knew right away it wasn't just a simple cold. Medication would heal his symptoms. That would only be a temporary measure. The only way to truly cure him would be to change his living environment. That was easier said than done. He was surrounded by tangled and complicated relationships with the village and his families. Just resting here a few days and taking some medication won't do. Time was the only thing that could ease off the cold treatment from the villagers, but we were taking a very, very long time. So I felt I had to be their first ally in the village so I could rescue them. I couldn't do anything about his stressful environment, but I could try to diminish the anxiety. I thought the best way was to teach him how to vent his stress, and playing sports is the best way to do that. I asked him to join the junior baseball team that I coach. As a researcher, I devote most of my time to Himizawa Syndrome, but I too need to do something else to relax. I used to play baseball, so I decided to coach the local kids team. After a while, the children of Hinamizawa started their own baseball team, and somehow I became their coach. Doctors can't provide health just by giving medication. You need a sound mind and a sound body. I believe health can be maintained through sports as well, but our team needed more people. I thought of asking Satoshi-kun to join. Being a bookworm, Satoshi-kun wasn't interested in playing sports. He wasn't sure how joining the baseball team would help his situation. I didn't need to go on and on about athletic medicine to help explain why sports help people become healthy. I just wanted him to experience it himself to realize how great it feels to play sports. I think he realized it gradually. He was reluctant until the very end, but he attended all the team activities and games. As I saw Satoshi-kun slowly regain his liveliness, I realized my plan worked. However, if Satoshi-kun was under that much stress, then Satoko-chan, who lived in the same family climate, must have felt the same way. Unfortunately, I didn't think of her back then. So when Satoko-chan was carried into my clinic as a patient, I regretted doing nothing about her, even while knowing the situation. As Satoshi-kun recovered under my guidance, Satoko-chan was left alone in her stressful environment. Also around that time, there was an incident bad enough to make Satoko-chan collapse. That was, of course, her parents' deaths. The day of the Watnagashi festival was a very uncomfortable time for the Hojo family. Because although it was a village festival, it was also a day to celebrate victory over the dam construction project. It's understandable that they would plan a family trip around that time so they could leave the village. Satoko-chan's parents fell off the cliff at the park they were visiting. It happened on such an unlucky day. As it happened on the day of the Watnagashi, people said it was the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Because people labeled the Hojo family as the one that was cursed by Oyashiro-sama. The parents were given the cold shoulder by everyone in the village. So with their parents gone, Satoshi and Satoko could have been freed from that, but unfortunately the accident happened on the day of Watnagashi. Other members of the Hojo family continued to be shunned. Satoko-chan was the only one at the site of the accident. Satoshi-kun didn't go on the trip because he had an event with the baseball team. Therefore, the police mainly interrogated her. The detective, Keichi, suspected an act of organized crime by the village, but Satoko-chan is the only witness on site who drilled her with questions. She was as stressed as Satoshi-kun, perhaps even more, but of course she couldn't take it. During the interrogation, she began to wheeze and gasp for air. The anguished look I saw on Satoko-chan's face when she was carried into the clinic was very, very tragic. It broke my heart just to imagine what she had to go through.
監督、Satokoは大丈夫ですか？
ええ、安心してください。一時的に混乱してしまっただけですよ。
あっても大丈夫ですか？
やっと薬でぐっすり眠れたところです。できれば起こさないであげたいところです。しばらくゆっくり休ませてあげましょう。様子を見て数日入院させてあげるのもいいかもしれません。大丈夫。私に任せてください。
ありがとうございます。
Now Satoshi-kun is a great big brother who truly cares about his sister. He empathizes deeply with her. In other words, Satoshi-kun's worries and stress were reflecting Satoko-chan herself. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but while Satoshi-kun was, of course, sad about his parents' death, he may at the very same time been a little relieved that they were gone. His sister wouldn't have to be driven into a corner anymore. Unlike Satoshi-kun, Satoko-chan didn't have the social skills to get along with her stepfather. So putting her mother aside, I was certain that losing her father, the greatest cause of stress in her life, would bring great change to her home environment. But I couldn't believe what happened next. The two were sent to live in an even worse environment with their aunt and uncle. Although at that time I was rather optimistic, thinking this new environment would be better for the siblings. Number 18. Okay, so now we're introduced to Mion. Mion-san, your friend is here. I heard the housekeeper's voice. Our house and the front yard are huge, so unlike normal houses, ringing the doorbell or yelling my name repeatedly, asking to play won't work. It's Rika Frude-chama.
来たね来たね。ばっちゃんにリカちゃまが来たって伝えてもらえます？多分あっちの縁側にいると思います。私はスイカを引き上げてきますね。
Rini received many beautiful watermelons from somebody, so she wanted to share. I just called the Frude house a short time ago, and Rika-chan is here to pick one up. We come on her bicycle? Can't remember if she has a big enough basket. I pulled the watermelon from the well while thinking about that. Cold water from the well has refrigerated the watermelon, and condensation makes it look delicious. The three members of the Frude family will enjoy it for at least 2 nights, so we're also still prior to her parents dying.
お持ち帰りだったのですか。僕はてっきり。あれ？おじさんそう言わなかったっけ？
The priest answered the phone. I thought I told him to come pick it up. Maybe I wasn't clear enough, or maybe he misunderstood me completely. She's here to eat the watermelon, not to take it home. Besides, the small basket on Rika-chan's bicycle won't hold the watermelon. It's too dangerous for her to ride while holding it in her hands.
ミオン、お前リカちゃまんちまで超持ってたらな。スイカ片手んな自転車なんこがれんて。
僕だってスイカくらい持てますのですよ。
あぶなあぶなあぶな。リカちゃまに何かあったらお社様に申し訳立てんね。うちのミオンが運ぶんね。
はいはい、任せられたって。じゃあついでに神主さんにご挨拶でもしてこようかね。
No matter whether she rides or pushes her bicycle, Rika-chan's hands will be occupied. I'm going to carry the watermelon. The sky is turning auburn in the sunset. The cool breeze feels good on my sandaled feet. The plastic bag I'm carrying contains the watermelon and also some small bags of rock candy. If her mother finds them, she'll take them away, so we decided to eat them before we got to her home. We opened the bags and enjoyed the rock candy. Rika-chan isn't an exception. Whenever kids from our neighborhood come to our house for errands, Granny gives them some treats. Actually, that's a pretty common rule here in Hinamizawa. It's funny, but sometimes when parents aren't watching, siblings will fight over who gets to take the circular notice to the next house. These bags of rock candy are like tips for them. I haven't had rock candy in years. I mean, it's just pure sugar, basically. It's hard not to like it until you crash, like 2 hours later. Of course, she doesn't normally give out this much, usually just a little piece of it. Granny's being extra nice to Rika-chama.
こんなにいろいろお駄賃をもらうと他の人に悪い気がしますです。別に気にすることないんじゃない？お駄賃は行為みたいなもんなんだもん。
There's also the kind of thing that if like there was rock candy, there was usually also like other things, and I'd probably like pick like cotton candy or something else instead.
変に断るよりは子供らしくありがとうって言って笑顔を見せる方がよっぽどいいと思うけどね。ミーはお駄賃をよくもらいますですか？昔はね。でもさすがにこの年になったらもらわなくなったな。今もらうとなんだか子供扱いされてるみたいで帰って帰って。僕は子供扱いなので。いいじゃんいいじゃん。もらえるうちにもらっとけばいい。私くらいになれば欲しくてももらえなくなるんだからさ。
We talked about ordinary things. I noticed Riki-chan seemed a little sad.
僕はお買い物に行ってもよくおだちんに飴をもらいますが、さとこは一緒に行ってももらえませんです。
I can think of so many reasons why. Not only Satoko, but everyone in the Hojo family was being treated poorly in Himizawa. Some Nozaki families are the ones who instigated that. The 2 dam supporters have died in an accident already. The malice against the Hojo family is still going. It's directed against Satoko and Satoshi, their children. The aunt and uncle are taking care of them. The big fight between the Hojo family and the Sonozaki family. Explanatory meeting started all this. That was the Hojo couple, and it shouldn't have anything to do with the children and their aunt and uncle. The idea that the Hojo family are traitors evolved on its own, therefore anyone bearing the Hojo name is to be treated poorly. The aunt and uncle weren't dam supporters, so over time the attack towards them should have stopped. They were rather odd. They kept having trouble with their neighbors. They don't follow the community rules, they don't do their community duties, they don't spray pesticide while their neighbors... Oh, and they spray pesticide while their neighbor's laundry is hanging outside. They often get into fights with the other villagers. They'd be hated even without the dam. Therefore, the Hojo family continues to be treated poorly. But none of that should have anything to do with Satoko and Satoshi. They're often depressed at school. I tried to leave the conflict between the 2 families aside, but I wonder how they really feel about that. From their point of view, I'm just another member of the family that keeps harassing them.
せめて学校にはそんな雰囲気を持ち込ませたくない。だから私はそういう風に振る舞ってるつもりだよ。
それを学校の中だけでなく外にも広げるにはどうしたらいいのですか？
That'd be pretty difficult. The Hojo family made enemies of the 3 families. They're branded as traitors, and that's still considered the truth. It wouldn't mean anything if one person suggested an end to the hostilities, just because the events around the dam are history now. On the contrary, that would just put them in the same position. Fortunately for Satoko and Satoshi, the only thing they can do is wait patiently until the issue withers away. All I can do for them is provide an oasis until that day comes.
では、さとこたちはいつまで耐え忍べばいいのですか？
わかんない。ダム戦争は数年に及んだ。その時に押された烙印を払拭するんだから、それと同じ年数はかかるかもしれないね。
それはつまり、さとこたちが大人になるまで誰にも許してもらえないということですか？さとこが子供のうちはずっと村中から冷たい目で見られていろということですか？
それはあまりにも辛いね。
みー、僕たちはさとこやさとしの仲間なのですよね。
そうだよ。私にとってだって2人は友達だよ。仲間だよ。
なら僕たちの仲間を救うために僕たちに何かできることはないのでしょうか？
私たちに何ができるんだろうね。
Even if the Sonozaki family declares that the dam conflict is over, so the Hojo family are no longer outcast, that won't solve the problem. It's not that simple. In the first place, Granny hates the Hojo family and won't suffer their name to be mentioned in her presence. It's not a matter of someone forgiving another. It's a matter of very complicated ties between the people in this village. It's absolutely terrifying to have them as your enemies. Everyone knows that very well, and that's why they maintain good relationships with their neighbors. However, if you make enemies out of them, you'll have to face the consequences. It's the unwritten law of the Japanese community. And the Sonozaki family is part of this unwritten law. Now that the Hojo family are outcasts, not even the Sonozaki family can overturn the situation.
ひなみざわのことはひなみざわの人間にはどうしようもないということなのでしょうか？
悲しいけど、そういうこともあるかもしれない。もしさとこを救う人が現れてくれるとしたら、それは村のしがらみにとらわれないそういう人なんだろうね。でもそんな人村にはいない。
村の外から誰かが助けに来なければ救われないと。
Like Riki-chan says, knight in shining armor from the outside world. Would a knight in shining armor from the outside world ever come here? That person bring a new wind into this village that's been filled with stale air for hundreds of years? No way. That's just wishful thinking. Time will solve the problem someday. Till then, I have to be their ally. I can't think of anything else to do for them. Riki-chan and I crunched in a rock candy, and only pray that people will forgive Satoko and her family sooner rather than later. Riki-chan gently broke the heavy silence.
きっと村の外からしがらみにとらわれない人がやってきます。そうだね。ダム戦争も終わったんだから、また分譲地に外から人が引っ越してきてくれるといいね。近い年の転校生とか来れば楽しいだろうに。来ます。きっと。そして彼と力を合わせて私たちは村の悪兵を打ち破るのです。それが私たちの未来を閉ざす3つの錠前に対する最初の鍵。え？何それ？なんかの小説？
Riki-chan says some odd things sometimes. She talks that way, she seems so mature. I even start to doubt she's really younger than I am. I love the fact that, as we saw there, Rika has lived this several times, and she's lived long enough to get to the point that she knows Keichi will come and that he will try to do something to save Satoko, and she believes at this point that he will save her. This is before she loses hope in all things. But knowing this, having lived this before, she knows that she has to take the watermelon home, and doesn't come prepared for that anyways. Unreasonable antagonism towards the Hojo family. Will really be someone from the outside who will shatter our old traditions? On to 19, which is all the way back at the start. It is this one, yes. The second sacrifice. Sadashiko is a good brother who takes great care of his sister. Went to visit Satoko-chan straight after school and kept encouraging her to get better every day. Without even hearing Sadashiko's stories, it's obvious to me that Satoko-chan never had a good relationship with her step-parents. He especially didn't get along with her stepfather. Satoko-chan even called a child abuse hotline once. Not only that, her parents ended up dying in an accident. She just wasn't able to withstand all the damage. Satoko-chan is still very young, so everything must have been horrible for her to go through. Fortunately, she has a wonderful brother. Emotional wounds are hard to heal, and nothing heals those wounds better than love from family members. I'm sure that one day Satoko-chan will be able to smile again. She's still in shock, but when she talks to Satoshi-kun, she smiles a little bit. Oishi from the police department keeps requesting to see her, but I think I need to protect her for just a little longer. I assume we're the doctor right now. While he's passionate about his job, I wish he'd be a touch more sensitive. It reminds her of her parents' accident, her emotional wounds will start to open again. It's the one point I worry about with Satoko-chan. I heard someone knocking on the door. It's Takano-san. Doesn't look right wearing a nurse's outfit like that. He's a licensed doctor, so she should wear a white coat and act like one. Maybe this is fun for her. I think she might be insulting the real nurses. I didn't say anything, though.
Ah, hi. それではサトシ君、私は失礼します。
はい。
サトシ君、こんにちは。サトコちゃんと遊んであげててね。ずっと一人でいるからきっと寂しいと思うの。ね。
そんなことございませんわよ。
ではサトシ君、 よろしくお願いします。
I often let Satoshi-kun take over.
ところで、何かありましたか？
ここでは何ですので、所長室で。
Kano-san smiled meaningfully. Usually smiles bring happy feelings, but when it comes to Kano-san, that's rarely the case.
それは本当ですか？
ええ、簡易検査の結果、レベル3以上と思われる高い発症レベルの可能性が指摘されました。彼女をさらに入院させ、より精度の高い検査を行う必要があります。結果待ちですが、私の見たところ、レベル4の可能性すらあり得るかと。
Kano-san's eyes sparkled in a weird way. There's a reason for that. For us, finding patients in the terminal stage is a valuable boon to our research. In fact, as a result of dissecting the murder suspect from last year, we made great progress in our research. In other words, we finally managed to isolate the pathogen. We also discovered that when the host dies, the pathogen melts away within a few hours. Once that happens, it's undetectable. But we never found the pathogen when we performed autopsies. Our research made a lot of progress after that. What we found in this past year is easily surpassed what the late Dr. Takano found in decades. Now we're studying the nature, the effect, and the symptoms of the pathogen, as well as treatments and vaccines. In other words, a living specimen who's at a terminal stage is a necessity for our research. However, we rarely find a patient who's gone that far who's reached L5. Himizawa Syndrome once created a huge number of L5 patients, but today it doesn't have such potency. Because of that, we've had to secure L5 patients, or patients who are close to L5, as quickly as possible. Satoko-chan possibly qualifies to be the next sacrifice. Keep this strange disease a secret. We can't let patients who may be at L5 go. We have to run more tests first, and we'll go figure out what to do next. In any case, Satoko-chan seems to be so calm. Behavior's nothing like the man from last year. Initial tests are an error sometimes. We have to wait for the results of more detailed tests to determine how serious her condition is.
わかりました。
経過観察のため入院ということにしましょう。スタッフの皆さんへの手配をお願いいたします。
It sounds like a formal answer, but if the results come back positive, that'll be a green light for her dissection. I don't know Satoko-chan that well, but I've known her brother Satoshi-kun through the baseball team for a long time. How could I dissect the apple of Satoshi-kun's eyes? I can feel scary images flashing in my head for the first time.
ご安心を。万事すでに手配させておりますわ。
She smiled as if telling me that the dissection is already being prepared for too. Is it just her who's smiling? Am I smiling like her too? When I dissected that man last year, I did feel guilt beforehand, but once I started, it's like I was in paradise. All the pieces of the puzzle that were left by the late Dr. Takano fell into place, and at the same time they didn't. How exciting it was. Knowing that we are the first ones to take the first steps to solve a mystery, that is. I don't even know how to explain this feeling to those who've never experienced it. There's no way to describe it with words. The only thing I can say is that even a year later, I still remember it vividly. So if the results show that Satoshi-kun's beloved sister is to be dissected, and I control myself, and I stay calm, that means I'm a failure of a human being. I know very well that the Hojo family was treated poorly by the villagers, and I know what Satoko-chan had to go through. I also know that Satoshi-kun loves his sister, who's his one and only blood relative. How can I dissect Satoko-chan using my research as an excuse? I didn't feel much guilt for the man last year, but I feel an unbearable guilt towards Satoko-chan. That means what I did last year was very sinful. I don't care if a stranger dies, but I don't want Satoko-chan to die, because that's not right. All lives are equally precious. I tried to convince myself that he was a violent murderer, or maybe he only became that way because he was at the terminal stage. I don't know anything about him before he became deranged. Maybe he was a model citizen who was worthy of respect. Unfortunately, he became ill and ended up doing what he did. Maybe he was a victim himself, just like my father. I know more about Hinamizawa Syndrome than anybody. This disease makes people act in bizarre ways, without those people realizing it. When the people at the terminal stage do such strange and violent things, one should be sympathetic. I already knew that back when I decided to go down this path. I should have remembered it sooner, but I only did just now. Finally realized what sinful research I'm working on. Satoko Hojo's detailed test results came back. The results say L5. She's at the terminal stage of the terminal stage. It's actually a surprising result. In last year's case, the patient was extremely deranged. According to Takano-san's records, he complained about itching coming from the lymph nodes all over his body. He wanted to claw at his throat, just as the late Dr. Takano mentioned. Satoko-chan isn't displaying such symptoms. Even in the late Takano's data, throat clawing is said to be a characteristic symptom of terminal stage patients. However, not all patients experience that symptom. Besides, emotional expression is very different in each person. Even if it's the same emotion, one patient may express it rather violently and another may express it calmly. There's no way of knowing just by looking at a person. Satoko-chan's detailed test results say that she's at the terminal stage of the terminal stage L5. In other words, she may be feeling what the man from last year was feeling, just that she isn't expressing it the same way the man was. Himizawa Syndrome affects the frontal lobes of the brain. It stimulates the most primitive of emotions, doubt, very strongly. As a result, terminal patients are trapped in delusions and paranoia and end up committing horrible crimes. Satoko-chan seemed to show improvements when she's exchanging friendly words with Satoshi-kun. There's a paranoia stirring inside of her that may put her in a deranged stage at any moment. I can't let her leave the clinic like this. However, if things go according to the manual, I'll have to make a decision on her dissection. My decision will only be a formality. I can't actually refuse. Takano-san appears to be already working on the dissection schedule. That plan will then come to me. Will I feel the same way while dissecting Satoko-chan? Be able to experience that trance once again? And the question is, can I fight the temptation? As I pretend to question myself, I'm letting Takano-san prepare things on her own. By doing so, am I passively agreeing to Satoko-chan's dissection? If possible, I want to save Satoko-chan. I don't want her to be sacrificed for this research. I don't want to dissect her. What about that man from last year? Do I only care about the lives of the people I know? If I don't dissect her, do I let her live and leave the clinic? Do I simply wait for her to become deranged and commit a horrible crime? And then she'll end up here, just like the man from last year. I'll end up dissecting her anyways. The man from last year was dissected alive. And kept that way for several months. The skull left open, he wasn't allowed to die for several months. He was kept alive just for cruel experiments. I don't want to do that to her. I don't know what to do. Even debating and agonizing over it is leading towards consent to her dissection by elimination. Okay, we're finally at 20. Where is 20? 20, screen 4. Top right. A group of boys are playing baseball under the powerful sun. The sound of cicadas makes the heat stand out even more. Those boys, just another kind of cheering from the crowds. Of course, they go through training exercises to build stamina. Boys don't actually like such routine activities. They look forward to most is the free time after practice. The school in Hinamizawa is actually borrowed from the forestry service. The schoolyard is made of gravel. It's not appropriate for playing sports on. Compared to that, the grounds at the school in Okonomiya are properly maintained for athletic activities. The kids grow even more energetic when they come here. Kids from Hinamizawa really don't care if the ground is made of gravel or not. The other instructors watching the game, so I decided to get some drinks for the team.
皆さんにジュースを買ってこようと思いまして。 もしよかったらサトシ君も手伝ってくださるととても助かるのですが。
はい。お手伝いします。
Satoshi-kun decided to come along with me. Sometimes, kids don't like what grown-ups choose, so I'm glad he agreed to help. Satoshi-kun and I got in the car and headed to the grocery store nearby.
監督、サトコの具合はどうなんですか？
ええ、経過は良好ですよ。本当にゆっくりとですが、サトコちゃんの心の傷も癒えてきています。もう少しだけ安静にしてあげた方がいいでしょう。
It's natural for Satoshi-kun to be worried. Satoko-chan's been in the hospital for over 2 weeks. Of course, he doesn't know his sister has Himizawa Syndrome. Not only that, she's almost at level 5. She'd become deranged at any moment. I believe she's depressed because of the shock of their parents' accident. He came to the clinic every day to cheer his sister up. Satoko-chan has become emotionally unstable, showing some dangerous symptoms, so he called off the visits. In fact, Satoko-chan is not doing so well. L5, the stage Satoko-chan's at, is a very abnormal one. The man from last year was at the same stage, was acting so abnormal that even a drug addict in his final stages would have turned and ran. There's no guarantee Satoko-chan won't fall into the same condition. When we performed the autopsy on the man last year, we learned the true identity of the syndrome and gained a great understanding of its mechanisms. We even discovered some important facts that may lead to the development of a cure. However, we've yet to find a method of actually curing the disease. If Satoko-chan becomes unrecoverable, we have to dissect her, just like we did the man from last year. How can I tell Satoko-chan about his sister's situation? All I can do is make vague comments and lie to him that she's recovering. What if she becomes much worse? That would make me an unforgivable liar. A tiny bit of conscience that remains in me hurts.
もし監督の診療所のご迷惑でなければ、もうしばらく入院させてもらった方がいいかもしれません。
それはどういう意味ですか？
I thought he wanted her to come home as soon as possible, so I'm a little surprised.
実はあまりおばさん一家でも馴染めていないんです。
サトコちゃんがご両親とあまり良い関係ではなかったと聞いていましたが、新しく預けられたおばさん夫婦ともなのですか？
サトコは大人にはあまり心を開かないので。
Satoko-chan has told me about their family background. Her mother's constant remarriages wounded her children deeply. Satoko-chan was able to overcome it, but Satoko-chan was too young to be able to do that. It left her traumatized, and she now has the tendency to distrust or dislike guardians who aren't related to her. Actually, nobody likes a guardian who isn't related to them. It's just not just Satoko-chan. Usually people try to deal with that even if they don't like it. I guess Satoko-chan's not capable of that.
おじさんはあまり家に帰ってこないし、いても寝てるかテレビを見てるかなのでそんなに問題はないんですが、おばさんがものすごくサトコに絡むんです。
どうしてそんなに嫌われてしまったんでしょうね。
I can guess why. Satoko-chan's parents were damn proponents, and because of that, the villagers considered the aunt and uncle part of the Hojo family, and ostracized them as such. Moreover, they passed away suddenly in an accident and left 2 children behind, so I guess there'd be more hate there than gratitude. If she'd been obedient like Satoshi-kun, everything would have been fine, but Satoko-chan can't be that way. She shows that in her attitude and expressions, which leads to her and her aunt having a big fight.
おばさんにサトコの事情を説明してはいるのですが、なかなか分かってもらえなくて。
その度にサトコちゃんをかばってあげるサトシ君は、今やサトコちゃんにとって唯一の肉親はサトシ君だけなん。
そうですね。そんな気がしてます。
Satoshi-kun said that with a slight hint of a sigh. He doesn't say it, but it seems Satoshi-kun has grown tired of having to cover for Satoko-chan every time she and her aunt have a fight. He's a good person as well as a good big brother. I'm sure he'll do anything to cover for his sister. It's a very exhausting thing to keep doing forever. Satoshi-kun was already doing that when their parents were alive. Eventually, his mental equilibrium couldn't handle the strain. He grew sick and he visited my clinic. I thought his circumstances might have improved after their initial cause. His parents were gone. Seems things were even worse than before.
そんな状況で聡子ちゃんを退院させたら、また心の症状がぶり返してしまうかもしれませんね。入院費のことは気にしないでください。聡子ちゃんが本当の意味で回復するまで、私が責任を持ってお預かりします。
While trying to pretend I'm listening to her request, I feel a little disgusted at myself for making such selfish excuses. I'll make sure. Takano-san is working on her dissection plan as we speak.
お願いできると僕も少しだけ助かります。
はい？
いえ、聡子がもうしばらく入院しててくれたら、僕もその分気が楽だなって思っただけです。
それはどういう意味ですか？
聡子が帰ってきたら、どうせまたおばと喧嘩をするだろうと思います。そうしたらまた喧嘩や怒鳴り声ばかりの日になって、僕もそれに巻き込まれるのかなって思うと、聡子はずっと入院しててくれるのが一番僕にとって気楽なことなんじゃないかって嫌になります。
サトシ君。
Satoshi-kun is a great big brother who always sticks up for his little sister. That doesn't mean he doesn't feel
そんな
burdened.
ことを考えてしまうなんて、僕はなんて悪い兄なんだろうって思います。そうだと思えば思うほど自分が嫌になって。
Satoshi-kun said, sniffling once. The expression was one of anguish, as if truly feeling his own sin. His desire to be model big brother is putting himself under greater pressure. I feel bad for Satoko-chan, but I also feel bad for Satoshi-kun in a different way. Someone who knows both of them very well. I feel that I must be their allies, if they don't have anyone else who cares about them. You have ice cream? How hot is it for you there, Samus? For us, it's been like 85 to 90 Fahrenheit, that equivalent, every day for like the past week. Which one was that? We're on the screen 4. Oh, that was 20. 21's back on screen 1. Plans for Satoko-chan's dissection are moving right along. I don't want Satoshi-kun to be sad. I feel pity for Satoko-chan and her harsh circumstances. I'm still struggling with how much I have to sacrifice for the sake of research.
え？ああ、すみません。どうなさいましたか、リカさん。
僕の友達がずっと長く入院していますが、その子はひなみざわ症候群ではないのですか？
それを誰に聞きましたか？
僕がそう思っただけです。どうなのですか？いりえ、聡子はひなみざわ症候群ではないのですか？
Jeez. That is, far too very hot, yeah. Rika-chan is on our side. Nothing I have to hide from her. Actually, I probably shouldn't keep anything from her.
両親との不仲と、その両親の突然の死、彼女の心には、それは一度に受け入れるには、あまりに大きすぎる出来事でした。それが引き金になったのかもしれません。
検査の結果は？
レベル5です。上辺は非常に安定して見えますが、情緒は非常に不安定です。先日からサトシ君の見舞いも謝絶にしました。
サトシに聞きましたです。サトコの心の傷がなかなか癒えないと気にしていましたです。
I mean, I'm far enough south that our weather is basically the same as if you look at, like, Buffalo or Detroit. Sadako-chan is Riki-chan's best friend. How can I tell her that we're planning to dissect Sadako-chan? However, even if I don't say anything, she already knows that Sadako-chan's situation is extremely poor.
入江は僕の体を調べてたくさんのことが分かったのではないですか？
ええ、それはもちろんです。症状を抑える効果が期待される試薬も現在いろいろと試しているところです。
Yes, it would.
それを貞子に与えることはで
Many
き
other
ませんのです
benefits.
か？
一度は考えました。しかしかなり危険です。体力や精神力に余裕がある検体に試し、少しずつデータを集めていこうという段階です。聡子ちゃんのようなもう後がない人間に試せるような代物ではありません。
Yes, tea time.
では入江、その薬を試さないなら貞子はどうなってしまうのですか？
She spoke as if aware of our plans for Sadako-chan. No, she must actually know. I've told her about most of my research. She's more mature than she looks, so it'll be easy for her to figure out.
僕は貞子が 1% でも助かる可能性があるならそれにかけるべきだと思いますです。
非常に危険な賭けです。最悪の場合、彼女は即座に末期発症し錯乱するか、さもなければ人としての心を失い、一生を焦点の合わない目で壁を見て過ごす体になってしまうかもしれない。どちらもそれはあまりに過酷な運命です。
全身麻酔で痛みを感じさせずに眠ったままを殺す方がずっといいというの。入江、よく高野が言う通り医学に 100% はない。でもこのまま放置すれば聡子を待ち受ける運命は 100% の絶対の死しかない。ならばどちらにかけるかは明白なはず。
そうですね。その通りです。
But I know too well. T103, the medicine that's being tested, may not even be something that can be used. May not even have a 1% chance of success. Worse, I can't even imagine what kind of tragic end she'd meet if her body rejects the medicine. That's why I'm tempted to believe it would be far more merciful to feed her favorite food, let her gently fall asleep, and after that, dissect her while she dreams. I don't want to admit it, but Takano-san is right. I'm being indecisive and showing a lack of resolve. How effective could the medicine made by someone like that really be? Because it was medicine I created myself, I couldn't even believe that there might be a 0.1% chance of success.
僕は入江の作った薬なら信用できると思いますです。
She spoke as if she read my mind. Surprised, I raised my head to look up at her. Her giving me a reassuring look I never would have imagined someone her age capable of.
入江は人の命を左右するとても辛い仕事に耐えている。本来人の生き死になど人間がどうにかしようというのがおこがましいこと。その重圧は背負った者にしかわからない。
Her voice hasn't changed, but I feel like Riki-chan is admonishing me, almost as if she knows what it's like to be responsible for human lives.
その重さは罪の意識と後悔の重さを加えて決められる。だから入江はまだまだ危険な薬を聡子に試せない。そうでしょ。
Takano-san said the same thing when she criticized me earlier. I'm being criticized again.
でもだからあなたになら聡子を託せると思う。
え？
人の命はとても重い。その重みに耐えかねるのはあなたが人の命を大切にしたい心があるからこそよ。そんな心がなくしてどうして人を病気から救えるというの？高野みたいに
人をモルモットとしか思ってないやつの治療薬なんか試せると思う？
I shouldn't have laughed, but I couldn't help it. I feel like I should laugh.
高野とあなたが。私は入江の薬の方が治るように思う。だって薬は人の心から生み出されるんだもの。自分の身から滴り落ちる雫で人を救いたいという気持ちが人の病を癒してくれる。
おっしゃる通りです。医者が薬のことで諭されるとは。
私は自分の体を他でもない聡子のために差し出した。私の体から注射針で抜き出したものはその雫から命の本当の重さを知り、それが聡子に効かないわけがない。
Shrine maidens take confessions? Deidushi's doing a great job being a shrine maiden at this age.
賭けになります。聡子ちゃんが果たして受け入れてくれるかどうか。
聡子に伝える必要はあります。聡子にとってHinamizawa症候群を知ることは心の深い傷をもう一度えぐることにしかならないのだから。
What did she mean by those words? When I realized it later, I was surprised by how thoughtful and perceptive she
計
was.
画を中止させましょう。北条聡子に対する C103 投与実験に変更します。せめて 1% でもうまくいく確率が上がるように努力します。
大丈夫ですよ。入江、絶対にうまくいきますです。
そんな。
I assume it's C103, meaning that they had 102 failed samples before that.
もう決まってることなのですから。これはフルデ神社の巫女様の
And probably the majority of that were tested on the man they dissected last time, because that would be the best way you could see if it worked or not.
ファイトオンなのですよ。
22. Satoko-chan's dissection plan has been scrubbed, getting ready to administer an almost totally untested medicine, C103. This experimental medicine suppresses the production of a certain type of hormone, and in doing so, will stop the transmission of the syndrome triggering Satoko's condition. The mechanism of Himizawa Syndrome is as follows. The pathogen takes over the frontal lobe of the patient's brain, then induces increased responsiveness to paranoia. As a result, a patient voluntarily carries out excessively defensive behaviors to a problematic extent. If this induction can be cut off, it will be possible to save terminal patients from becoming deranged. But it only cuts off an induction, so it's not really a cure. This medicine, which, as we know from later, works to some extent, is presumably the reason why, in all the worlds, Satoko never is the one to go crazy. Ironically, the brain is an organ that learns. Once the brain has learned to be excessively paranoid due to the Himizawa Syndrome, even after the pathogen is eliminated, the brain doesn't simply unlearn the paranoia. In short, even if the pathogen doesn't include derangement, the patient will be directed to such emotions of their own volition. Thus, it is impossible to completely escape the nearly deranged level 5 state. The proverb, "A burnt child dreads the fire," is a good example of this. And after the burn on your tongue heals, the fear of being burned by food again remains. When it ends up being a good thing, we call it learning a lesson. We call it trauma when it doesn't. We predict Satoko-chan's treatment will take a significantly long time, requiring both medication such as administering psychotropics and mental care like counseling. We have to slowly unravel her mind's solidified paranoia while also suppressing the syndrome's induction of derangement. This is the treatment plan for terminal patients like Satoko-chan. However, as we're going to stimulate the parts of her brain that affect her emotion while they're being stimulated by the pathogen at the same time, it's possible there can be unexpected side effects. Both the mental and physical strength hold the key to our success. We're going to begin the experiment once she regains her emotional stability and physical strength, but someone who threatens to disturb her emotional stability has been coming here every day. Keichi, the sly old detective from the Hinomiya Police Department, thinks everything from the dam protest to the dismemberment and murder of the construction manager is an organized effort secretly conducted by the three families of the village. He even thinks the accident involving Satoko-chan's parents wasn't an accident. That's why he keeps coming back so he can talk to Satoko-chan.
何度来られても聡子ちゃんへの面会を許可することはできません。彼女は両親を亡くしたショックでそれを汲み取ることはできませんか。
いやいや、本当にちょっとだけお話が聞ければいいんです。そうお時間を取らせるつもりはないんですがね。令状が必要だってんなら申請しないことはありませんが、私も北条さんの容体を気遣っているからこそ令状を取るなんて無粋を。
令状を取ってまで一体何を聡子ちゃんに聞こうとしているのか、私にはさっぱりわか。
今回の転落、事故ではなく事件の可能性もありまして。
北条夫妻がダム戦争以来村中から嫌われているという話は知っています。ですがわざわざ旅行先まで追いかけて突き落とすというのは少々突飛すぎはしませんか。
まあ事故でもいいんですがね。ならばどうしてもよくわからない嘘があるんです。どうして嘘が必要なのかって考えるとですね、こりゃ事故ってことはありえないんじゃないかなって思うんです。
嘘とは何のことで。
いえね、北条聡子さんの言う事故当時は車で眠っていたっていう話、ちょいと話がおかしいんじゃないかなってそう思うんです。
Satoko-chan claims she was asleep in the back seat when the accident took place. So she didn't get out of the car at the viewing platform. She woke up, she didn't see her parents. Then she found out they had fallen off the cliff.
それのどこに嘘があるというんです。まさか聡子ちゃんが実は眠っていなくて両親と一緒に展望台へ行ったと、そういう意味ですか。
そうです。北条聡子さんは眠ってなんかいなかった。両親と一緒に車を降りて展望台へ行ったんです。
I'm suddenly hit by a terrible possibility. But what she says is true, and Satoko-chan is saying she didn't go to the viewing platform even though she actually did. It's terrible to even imagine.
何を根拠にそうおっしゃっているのかわかりません。それになぜ嘘をつく必要が聡子ちゃんにあるんですか。
それなんですよ。なぜ北条聡子さんは嘘をつかなければならないのか。それの本当のところを教えていただけないと。
どうして聡子ちゃんが嘘をついているとお思いなんです。
今回の事故は所轄が違いますので、白川署さんが関係者から事情聴取をしているんですがね、その調書を読んでみるとどうにも引っかかるところがある。
引っかかるところとは何ですか。
北条聡子さんの主張によるなら、彼女は両親に展望台へ行こうと誘われたが、眠たかったのでそれを断り車を降りなかったという。そして彼女はそのまま熟睡してしまい、相当の時間が経ってから目を覚ました。そしていつまでも戻ってこない両親に不安感を募らせ泣き出した。その声を聞いて巡回中の公園作業員が話しかけて事故が発覚したことになっています。この時ですね、公園作業員の証言では 両親が崖下に転落したと彼女が先に言ったというんですよ。ところがこの時北条夫妻が止めた車の位置からは問題の事故現場ははっきりと見えたわけじゃないはずなんです。いや、注意深く見れば柵が破損していたのを気づけたかもしれない。でもですよ、目が覚めたら両親がいないのを知って真っ先に崖下へ転落したというのは尋常ではないと思うんです。普通は両親が自分を置いてどこか転落する直接の現場を見てもいないのに、両親が転落したと第三者にいきなり言うのがね、この辺りどうして彼女は両親が転落したと確信したのか、その経緯を教えてもらいたいと思いまして通い詰めているところだったんですよ。入院前に私も何度かお尋ねはしているんですが記憶にない。当時は混乱していたと、まるでどこかの政治家みたいな答弁でしてね、私はじっくり話をしてみる価値があるかなって思っていたんですよ。
A terrifying possibility has turned into a certainty in my head. It assumed that her parents' accident triggered her terminal symptoms. No. Satoko-chan had already gone terminal, and just before the accident, her heart was filled with paranoia that drove her mad. She was under a lot of stress because of her bad relationship with her stepfather. She was also being scolded by her mother for not being able to get along with him. That made her paranoid. Made her think her parents considered her to be a bother and were going to kill her. When they went to the viewing platform, she must have thought they were going to push her off the cliff. Then a tragedy took place and she pushed her parents off instead, although she considered it to have been self-defense. I'm certain of that, because I know Himizawa Syndrome better than anybody. This accident isn't an accident. It isn't a crime either, like Oishi's thinking. It is simply a tragedy. When I talked to Satoshi-kun about the family, I was even more convinced. He told me even though Satoko-chan refused to open up to her stepfather, he had tried to communicate with her. It's true the relationship didn't go well in the beginning. Satoko-chan caused trouble repeatedly, even called the city's child abuse hotline. Okay, so the hotline was from this parent. At that point, they received guidance from the Child Consultation Center. They point out that the problem lay in lack of communication between the daughter and stepfather. Stepfather took a parenting course under the social worker's guidance, and awkward though it was, he made efforts to try to communicate with her. Satoshi-kun noticed his efforts, so he tried to talk to Satoko-chan about it. But Satoko-chan didn't notice them at all. The excessive stress she was under triggered terminal symptoms. She could understand her stepfather's remorse. On the contrary, her stepfather's change created even more mistrust within her. As a result, they went to enjoy the beautiful view of Shirakawa Nature Park as a family and to share in that joy. But that humble, ordinary family wish couldn't even get through to Satoko-chan. What a tragic misunderstanding. Satoko-chan stayed in the car telling her parents that she wanted to sleep. Then she got out and snuck up behind them. I bet he heard her footsteps. He pretended not to notice her, thinking that she was doing that to surprise him. It's sad just thinking about what must have been going through his mind. Well, he thought he had finally gotten through to her, she was actually approaching him with the intent to kill him. But that's not Satoko-chan's true nature, it's the disease. Satoko-chan isn't the only one who's to be pitied, her parents are victims as well. And now Oishi thinks she's a criminal. Judgment and punishment are required for crimes with malicious intent. What she really needs is understanding and sympathy. And no one has that understanding, except for me, because I know about Hinamizawa Syndrome. I am the director of the Irie Institute, but I've never behaved as such or exercised that authority. I'm going to do so for the first time since taking the position. I'm not doing it as the head of the Irie Institute, a secret research organization. I'm I'm doing it as a doctor so I can protect Satoko-chan.
白川自然公園の聡子ちゃんの両親の転落事故ですが、この件事故で決着するように山犬のおこのぎさんにお願いしてもらうことはできますか？
ええ、そんなことお安いご用ですわよ。山犬はそういうものの隠蔽や捏造に最も特化した部隊ですもの。確かに早くあの転落事故が事故ということに決着しな。
そういうことです。特に大石さんがこの件から早く引き上げるよう試薬投与実験のデリケートな時期です。不要な辛労をかけるのは適当ではありませんので。
まったくですわね。山犬にそのように伝えますわ。警察にもすでにコネクションがあるとのことなので圧力をかけるよう指示しましょう。近日中に白川転落事故は事故として確定することになると思いますわ。
That it was declared an accident. If only it really was one, it would have used Satoko-chan's soul. Getting rid of the pathogen can't heal that wounded soul. Nor can it erase the tragedy that's already taken place. All I can do is my best. The day she regains her smile comes sooner. That was... yes. Okay, so we learned from that. So we've slowly been learning as we go through this the answer to all the string of mysterious deaths. So the first one, the office manager at the dam site had become terminal, probably because of the stress of the dam conflict. Gets into a fight with his workers. They kill him because he was trying to kill them. So that's the first case. Now we have this one. This is the second case, where Satoko-chan's parents are killed because they are pushed off a cliff. And we find out just now that Satoko-chan is the one who did it. So, going back to what I said before, Satoko-chan did go crazy and kill people here, her parents. And then since this knowledge happens, then she's administered the drug which stops her from going crazy anymore. And we already know that the one with the aunt and uncle is Satoshi himself, killing them. And then Satoshi, we know, gets taken in by the Irie clinic and kept in their secret basement. And we know that that Rika-chan's parents, they kill her father, and then they capture the mother. And then, of course, Takano and Jiro Tomitake is the result of Takano wanting to take herself away so that she can do her final plan. And then it's just left to whoever else feels like killing in that episode. 23 is back in screen 1. C-103's implementation in Satoko is going well so far. Wouldn't make any difference to me if the experiment failed. Okay, we're Takano. However, Irie's extraordinary focus and attention to the experiment has avoided Satoko Hojo hallucinating or turning into a vegetable during the experiment. Surprisingly, we're seeing the return to normal life, despite reaching L5. C-103 still has many issues, but this experiment proved that a person who has reached level 5 can be cured. I didn't believe in it at first, but I have to acknowledge Irie's hard work. Only Irie could have done this. He was tormented by naive humanism and didn't want to make mistakes. That's why he felt obligated to cure Satoko Hojo. The reason why I dislike Irie isn't because of his abilities or achievements, but because of that weakness. But this time I had to praise him for it.
入江所長のレポートを拝見しましたわ。脱帽と言わざるを得ません。
いえ、私の研究者としての職務を果たしたに過ぎません。その結果、医者としての職務も果たせたなら、私にとってはそれに勝ることはありません。
今やさとこちゃんは私たちにとって最も重要な検体になったと言っても過言ではないでしょう。何しろレベル5に至りながら生還した初めての人間なのですから。
その通りです。彼女を社会生活に復帰させ、経過を見ながら長期観察に切り替えていきます。彼女には毎週日曜日にこちらに来て
Where are you going, bud?
検査を受けてもらえるよう話をするつもりです。
Oh, I don't trust that.
しかし C103 を日に3回も注射する義務と毎週日曜日に検査に訪れる義務を彼女にどう説明されるおつもりで。彼女には何の病気の自覚もないのに。
そこは今うまく納得してもらえる話を考えています。今考えているのは私の研究論文に協力してもらうというものです。栄養剤の注射を毎日してもらい、毎週日曜日にその効果を検査する。その代わりに協力費としていくらかを支払うという感じです。
I guess Irie's determined to cure Satoko Hojo no matter what. Team's determined to keep her off the dissection table. He and I are in different positions, so I don't have any complaints about his naive ideals so long as they translate directly into passion for our research. His plans can be put into effect and produce a different result than the dissection would, but is still useful to the overall understanding of the Himizawa Syndrome. I have nothing against Satoko Hojo. It's only that I see her as a research specimen. She can be useful in that capacity without being dissected. That's perfectly fine with me.
3回もの注射となれば、これは本人だけでなく、保護者の方の同意も不可欠です。確か、ご両親が亡くなってからは、おじ夫婦に親権が移っていましたね。そちらに一度、相談に伺おうと思います。メイへの怪しげな研究協力を承諾してもらえればいいのですが。
大丈夫ですわよ。そのための研究協力費ですもの。月に10万か20万も振り込んでやれば大喜びしますわ。
So that's approximately $1,000 to $2,000 by today's standards. I don't know what the conversion rate was in 83, but that would be a significant chunk of change, especially back then.
それだけの予算はありますか？
もちろん。二郎さんを納得させる資料を作りさえすれば。
わかりました。それは私が作ります。あと、さとこちゃんに心労をかけないよう指導しておく必要もあります。レベル5をぶり返すことになったら大変ですからね。噂では、おじ夫婦はとても現金な方だとか。金銭で丸め込むのは可能かもしれません。それらの指導も私の方できっちり行うつもりです。
I've heard Satoko-chan isn't getting along with her aunt and uncle. Never thought that would affect us in any way. Now Irie has to deal with them. Maybe needs to develop some kind of sense of responsibility or duty as her guardian. I don't really care. The more responsible he feels, the more progress our research makes. It's a plus for me.
それはそうと。H170 番台についての。
ええ、入江所長の成果に比べれば足元にも及びませんが、 一応の研究成果。
本当に皮肉ですね。彼女を錯乱から救う治療薬を作っていた研究所で、その傍らでは彼女を直ちに錯乱させる危険な薬が作られていたのですから。
Irie wasn't involved in H-170 research. That was my work. In fact, if I asked him, he wouldn't have agreed to be involved. This dangerous reagent was developed during the process of uncovering the mechanisms behind how the pathogens controlling Satoko brain could induce derangement or paranoia in their host. To put it bluntly, injecting H-170 into a patient with Himizawa Syndrome forces them to express terminal symptoms. It threw the brain into a stimulated state of agitation, intentionally forcing the pathogen to grow unstable. If we continue researching this, it'd be possible to drive anyone with Hinamizawa Syndrome violently insane at any time. Studying the mechanism behind that will help solve the syndrome's mysteries. The study on H-170 will be extremely important to future research. Also, this medicine has military applications, as the client requested. At this point, there's absolutely no use for it. Once our research progresses a bit further, this H-170 could spread at the right moment to cause a certain type of reaction. Compared to a killer virus, it seems like a useless pathogen. With no way to detect it in a dead body. It makes it look as though the person just went insane spontaneously, so it must have some useful applications. What? Do I have a permit for what? Hello, Deadbeard. How are you doing? The Marco Polo Bridge incident threatened to end research on Himizawa Syndrome before. A historically important incident like that couldn't have been created by a killer virus. I read your good news on Twitter today. I hope that has put your mind more at ease. I won't say what it is, it's not my place, but... Yeah, I imagine you had to talk to a bunch of different people, and that for sure would be exhausting. We're learning about murders. It's possible Hinamizawa Syndrome, the Elders of the Alphabet Project, the sponsor of our research, can think whatever they want about that. I don't care how they use what I've learned. My purpose is to solve the mysteries of Hinamizawa Syndrome and to make people realize how important this research is. Also, come here, buddy. We have Cat Cam. Say hi, Cheerio. I'm glad you might have access to the things you need now. I know how long you've suspected this, and that surely has been frustrating that you couldn't access what you thought you needed. My purpose is to solve the mysteries of Hinamizawa Syndrome and to make people realize how important this research is. Also, to make people acknowledge my grandfather's accomplishments and achievements. Any military applications were just byproducts of the process that I didn't care about.
クライアントにとっては高野さんの成果の方が喜ばれるでしょう。来期の予算取りが楽になるかもしれませんね。
I guess today is like Australian Christmas Eve. It's like you're 6 months away in winter. I'm doing all right. I had a bit of a cold that started on Saturday. I'm feeling much better. I still have like the occasional cough or sneeze. Hey, get out of the recycling, huh? As long as he just goes to Australia, that's fine. Hey, out of the garbage, eh? Although maybe the fire that he was supposed to bring is just the heat wave. I was talking with Samus about it. So here, it's been about like 30 to 32 Celsius all week. Samus was saying, let me convert this from Fahrenheit. So Samus was saying it's been 35 to 40 Celsius for them all week. Which is ridiculous. Yeah, it's definitely been a hot one this year. Yeah, so this year we have a central AC unit, but it's like 30 years old, and we just don't have it to replace it right now. So we got one of those ones that like you put in like through the window. We got 2 fans. We have a fan in this room, and we've got a fan in the bedroom that we just got today, which is a little bit better than this one. So that's been helping. So having a lot of cool ice drinks has helped too. Lots of water. Yeah, pets definitely need it. Yeah, his current spot right now is he loves being under the couch right next to the AC unit.
これだけのお金が公費から出ているのですから。
日本という国は私たちが想像しているよりずっと豊かなのかもしれませんね。公費は公費でも表に出せない黒い公費でしょうけれどね。
Yuri has no idea what I had to go through to get that money. Anyway, our research is going extremely well. We don't know what we'll find out about Himizawa Syndrome. I'm sure every mystery will eventually be solved. I can hardly wait. The syndrome indicates that humans are simply empty containers. What we believe to be our will is simply the actions of parasites that live in our brains. If that mystery was solved, it would have a greater impact than anything else in history. That is a truth nobody wants to believe. This is an achievement my grandfather predicted back during his time. Ah, I know now. I know the reason why my grandfather was so fascinated by his work. Is he hopping up on the window?
No, he's playing. I'm playing with him.
Oh, okay. I just saw the curtains moving. Alright, which one was that? That was H170. So for those of you keeping track at home, we just finished memory 23 out of 52. We're approaching the halfway mark. 24 is this one. So the mother of the queen would be Rika's mother. Rika has developed a high fever. A very high fever. It's not flu season, nor a season for any type of contagious disease. I can only think of the suspicious experiments Rika has gone through. Maybe the fever is being caused by those. Her growth is rather slow compared to other children her age. Receiving mysterious shots and going through experiments every week, I'm sure her body is exhausted. I've asked the staff to go easy on her, but Rika herself is fearless and willing to go through anything. My husband, who should be admonishing her for that, truly believes their story that's crucial to the lives of over 2,000 villagers and takes our own daughter to that clinic every week. I'm the only one who sincerely is worried about her health. That's why I want to ask Dr. Yuri to be a little more considerate towards Rika. Anyway, I have to talk to them about taking responsibility for this. Right after I called, a staff member came to pick Rika and admit her to the clinic. As her guardian, I came with them.
落ち着いてください、お母さん。必ず救いますから。もうしばらくお待ちになってください。
これが落ち着けるかというんです。急にこんな高熱が出るなんて。
You know you're not an important character when you're just Blank's mom.
これも先週にやったというなんとかという怪しげな実験の影響じゃないんですか？リカはね、年相応の小さな女の子なんですよ。リカは友達思いだから病気にかかった友達のためにと。
分かっております。それに私たちの研究が間違ってもリカさんに悪い影響を及ぼすようなことはありえませんし。
だったらこの理科の熱は一体どういうことなんですか？
おそらくは季節の変わり目ですので。
風邪なわけないでしょ。あなたたちが妙な薬を注射したからに決まっています。
Dr. Irie only told me to calm down and refuse to accept responsibility. My husband told me that this is all for the sake of the village, and that's why I've held back my doubts until now. I'm at my limit. Their existence has been suspicious from the beginning. They're conducting their research in secret, using a privacy policy as an excuse. That's shady enough on its own. It's just impossible. In fact, I called the Ministry of Health. I was told that wasn't true at all, even after I told them I'm Rika Furude's mother. The clinic even came up with stupid excuses saying normal workers often don't know of a special institute like theirs. That doesn't make sense at all. It's much, much too suspicious. Also, there are people who appear to be researchers who don't appear to be researchers working at the institute. They look like security guards, but they seem so different from normal guards at a normal hospital. In fact, one time I accidentally saw that they were armed with guns.
それはですね。
あの人たちは警察なんですか？とてもそうには見えません。だいたいあなた方は何者なんですか？厚生省の人間だなんて私は今さら信じませんよ。
Dr. Irie seems to be taken aback by my intensity and can't even answer properly. They're still hiding a lot more from us. That tells me that the research they're working on with Rika isn't anything
と
proper.
にかく私はリカの保護者です。リカはまだまだ子供です。あの子が何をどう返事しようとも今後は一切研究を手伝わせるつもりはありません。あらあら、リカちゃんのお母さんではありません。
And now we know why they had to be
どう
killed.
もこんにちは。あら、どうかなさいまして？
いえ、お母さんがリカさんをこれ以上研究に関わらせたくないとおっしゃってまして。
それはどうしてですか？うちの子はあなたたちの実験動物ではないからです。そう扱ったことなどございませんわよ。それは大きな誤解ですわ。
I'm a little startled. Dr. Irie is a weak person who backs down under pressure. Kano-san is different. I'm yelling at her, but she's not afraid at all. On the contrary, she's glaring daggers and looks as if she's about to jump on me.
リカちゃんの熱は風によるものですわ。私たちのせいだなんてとんでもない。私たちは安全や衛生には国立研究所クラスの注意を払ってます。失礼ですが、アルコール消毒もしない手でリカちゃんの手を引いて歩いているあなたより衛生的なくらいですわよ。そんなことは聞いていません。とにかくリカはあなたたちのおもちゃじゃないんです。リカはもう二度とここへは連れてきません。あなたの一存で決められては困りますわね。ご協力をいただくことについてご両親には契約書にサインをしてもらっているはずではございませんの。研究に協力していただく見返りに決して少なくない額を毎月お口座に振り込ませていただいているはずですわ。そんなお金私は知りませんよ。聞いたこともないです。
Rika receiving money for participating in their research really is news to me. Knowing my husband's character, he wouldn't have used it as spending money behind my back. Are we confirming that Deadbeard's beard is fake? And Chaos, how would you know that? I bet he thought of it as a free service to the villagers and completely forgot about the money being deposited into our account. There haven't been any strange deposits in the regular account, so maybe in our savings? Anyway, I don't care about that.
契約を保護にされる場合にはそれまでの振込額を全て返還していただくことになっているのはご存知ですわね。他にも一方的な保護についてそちらに非がある場合、
高野さん。
Also, let's do this. There we go. That's better.
落ち着いてください。お母さんもどうか。
I think you have context now.
Hinamizawa症候群は以前にもご説明させていただきましたように、これからも村人たちが安心して生活していくために絶対に治療していかなくてはならないものなのです。
Yeah, this is the thing I hate about mobile. I'll often have someone just like on when I'm like out walking the dog or something, or if I'm out like working outside, and then if I hear something, I'll look like at chat, and chat's it disconnects from chat, and then it reconnects, and it's just like You having fun, Cheerio?
He's like grabbing it and then like sliding into a just laying down.
大体おかしいじゃないですか。リカの友達のさとこちゃんのためということでしたけど、そのさとこちゃんはもう退院して元気に生活しているというじゃありませんか。確か先々週にうちの人が話を聞いた時にも、もう治療のめどは立ったというようなお話をされていたはずですわよね。
めどはついたというような話はしたと思います。ですが、Hinamizawa症候群の全貌を解明するためには。
全貌の解明なんか最初の話で聞いていません。リカが協力するのは村人の病気を治療するためのはずです。ならもう十分ではありませんの。皆さんがリカに怪しげな研究やら検査やらをしているのはあなた方の興味本位であって、治療とは何の関係もないんじゃありませんの。
そんなことはありません。とにかくリカさんの風邪の件は誤解なんです。もしどうしてもご不審ということでしたら。
とにかくお金の話もあるみたいなので、私も帰って夫と相談しますから。それでは失礼します。
We're just too shady from the very start. So of their exaggerated story, Rika and my husband took their side, but it won't work on me. You know, I must settle things with them right away, because Rika isn't their toy. Especially don't trust that woman they call Takano. Irie seemed to me like he's still a doctor, but she doesn't. How can I describe her? Guess I can say the glow in her eyes is just unpleasant. She only sees Rika as a guinea pig. I feel cruelty emitting from her. Neither my husband nor Rika have noticed that. I must protect her. As a mother, I must protect Rika. I'm actually surprised we're getting this like post bit where we see what they're talking about after. Chaos shaves his beard. It's a statement that he wants to make, and that statement is, "Oh, I'm getting double seen." What did you see?
あなたらしくもないですよ。
What are you seeing, Beardy?
そうですわね。ごめんなさい、取り乱してしまって。
Something happened to put her in a bad mood, Irie wondered. Oh, I know the summer sale's on. It just sounded like someone just went in and like gifted subs to him or something. Oh, I see. I missed the summer sale message. It scrolled just a bit too high. Also, the summer sale is totally unfair. My wife and I like opened up our Steam wish list, And mine, like, half the things aren't on sale, and the other half it's like 30%, 40, 50. She opens hers up and it's like 90, 80, 90, 90, and I'm like, what the heck?
Clearly, I have better taste in games.
No, clearly your games suck because they need to discount them more so that they sell. The heated conversation she just had didn't involve the Takano he knew. I really hope we're thinking of the same game. Which one was that? That was Distrust of the Mother Queen. That was 24. 25 is on screen 3. Did Tomotaka have a slight fever already? I don't remember that. So let's save. So we've gone through a good amount. I still wish there was something better than just saying connecting fragments in a black screen. X25. Jonathan always comes along with me whenever I go take pictures on the stroll. I have discovered the joy of cameras, and I'm happy to gain a friend who shares the same hobby. However, there's actually something else she's much more interested in. That would be the history of Hinamizawa. She frequently visited libraries and local archives to read through various documents and books. When it comes to Hinamizawa, she's gained quite the extensive knowledge of the local history. When she's in a good mood, she tells me things about how Hinamizawa used to be called Onikafuchi Village, how the villagers used to perform various cruel ceremonies based on the worship of Oya Shirasama. It seems she loved tales of violence, and that actually gave her a mysterious charm. On the other hand, I don't do well with grotesque things, so I could hardly say anything in response. The stories of cruel ceremonies that she gets excited about, I don't really get them all that well. However, with the way her eyes light up, the way she talks, I don't mind spending time with her, even if I have to hear about cruel things. This game has a tagline on the Steam store which just says, "No second coming jokes, no tentacle commandment jokes, no." I had Halo on my wish list for a bit, and then I was like, like, shooting kind of games usually aren't my thing, so I took it off. And I do have, like, a bunch of other games to play through already. Takano-san smiled in a way that almost made it sound like a dark past is something fun. Of course it isn't. The dark history of Hinamizawa that she loves is something cruel and atrocious. The witch hunts in the Middle Ages.
それに、Hinamizawa症候群を調べる上でもとても役立つことなのよ。何も顕微鏡を覗くことだけが調べることになるとは限らない。この寄生虫と長い時間を過ごしてきたこの村の伝承の方が。
I mean, Commander Kino, it's time for your annual Paper Mario playthrough, or a Banjo-Kazooie playthrough. Yeah, I did play through Halo a little bit with a friend in high school. So I do know, like, a little bit of it. Ironically, he was very into Halo at the time. And we had the regional Halo tournament was at our local library. So we're like, oh, we'll go and play it. And it was just us and, like, we were, I don't know, like 16 at the time-ish. And it was just us and these 3 other, like, 10-year-olds. We destroyed them.
それもそうだね。うん。高野さんは本当に研究熱心だよな。
だって研究こそ私のライフワークだもの。未知の神秘に踏み込み、誰も知らなかった秘密を暴くことってとっても楽しい。
I've been thinking about cause first of all, if you have Amazon Prime and haven't linked that to your Twitch, because Amazon Prime Day is coming up, don't buy things off Amazon Prime necessarily, but if you link your account, you can get a bunch of free games. I think they're basically trying to replace the Epic Game Store and giving out free games that way. So they have a bunch of stuff coming out for Amazon Prime Day, so you can claim like 20-odd free games. And the reason why that came to my head is Ukulele was one of the ones that they had that I claimed a couple months back. It's one of the ones that I want to get into at some point. 'Cause the platformers also aren't usually my kind of thing, but that one interested me. Yes, it also does that. It also gives you 100k in GTA Online every week. Yeah, they have some pretty good ongoing ones like that. They have the GTA, they've got some Pokemon Go stuff, old school RuneScape, they've got 2 Point Hospital. So they have 2 Point Hospital stuff that comes out every week. There hasn't been any one that I've like played from them so far that I've been like, oh, this is amazing. But there have been some that I'm like, oh, this is like cool, like little indie games. There was a soccer one I played a while back.
ことに悦を感じることができる人間だけに許された最高の娯楽だと思うの。
I see.
この研究の第一人者だった高野先生もHinamizawa Syndrome
Yeah, it is one that I plan on looking at. And if I play through it, it'll be the first platform where I've played through since probably New Super Mario Bros. For the Wii U.
私だけがそんな高野先生の気持ちを理解していると思うの。研究者でない二郎さんには
Yeah, the free sub is nice too. You'd love to see it? Oh, maybe I'll work it in. Let me look at... I sort my Steam so that I have sections for, like, games I'm playing off-stream, games I'm like, going to stream. So, we've got 3 game demos which are coming up, which are here. We've got... This is the last Higurashi game that I own. They did actually release the sequel to this, like, literally 3 weeks ago or something. People convinced me that we should play through Spiritfarer after we did the demo, and of course it went on sale literally the day that, like, before the demo, so I picked that up. We've got the sister game to this, Umineko, which is the same kind of idea, but it's a family dynamic on, like, a rich family on a private island. What else have we got? We've got a couple other, like, murder mystery visual novel stuff. Another JRPG, and then a horror RPG Maker classic. That's what's currently on the list. But I could be persuaded to throw Ukulele in there as well. I mean, depending on who you ask, that autocorrect from Bezos to Beelzebub is quite accurate. She always seems so enthusiastic every time she talks with the late Dr. Takano, an independent researcher who was the first person to discover the existence of the syndrome. There has to be something more there than just her admiration as a researcher. A demon lord of gluttony. Come to think of it, Dr. Takano's full name was Hifumi Takano. Takano-san's full name is Mio Takano. Not only are their last names pronounced the same way, the first names follow a similar pattern. They must be connected somehow. That is an interesting implication when he just said that even though their last names are pronounced phonetically the same way, in Japanese kanji, they'll often spell things with different kanji, even though it's pronounced the same way, it'll have a different meaning, because the characters themselves have a meaning. The implication there is that their last names are pronounced the same, but they're actually written differently. I don't know anything about Takano-san's personal history, but there's a good chance that her name is an alias. It's very possible she chose name to reflect the researcher she admires.
ひょっとして高野さんはだからミオという名前なのかい？いや、高野さんが尊敬しているその先生の名前が確か高野ひふみ。
Yeah, so if you ever look at animes and they're introducing a new character at like the front of the classroom, if it's like a high school anime, they'll write their name on the board and sometimes they'll say like, my name is the characters for like Winter Storm or whatever, something like that. Because they'll know it phonetically, but then written out, they'll say it's written as the characters for this. So your name often carries a meaning like that.
そして高野さんの名前がミオ。
Here's a prime example. So,
彼が成し遂げられなかった研究を引き継いだから。
Her name and Dr. Hifumi, they're both takes on counting. If I have it correctly, Hifumi is for counting 2 and she's 3, so it's as if she's like, you're counting up, like he was the second, she's the third, and so on. Hashtag prime example.
いや、今僕が適当に考えただけなんだよ。別に誰かが言ってたわけじゃ。
正解よ。鈍い二郎さんにしてはよくわかったわね。
The cat hiding behind me. There is a cat hiding behind me.
いや、高野さんがその高野先生をとても尊敬しているのは知ってたし、まるでなんとなくそんな気がしただけなんだよ。作家のペンネームだってほら、尊敬する作家のオマージュで名前をつけることもあるし。なら高野美代って名前もペンネームみたいなものなのかなって思って。
そんなことはないわよ。高野美代は本名よ。
There we go. She outright says that you write it differently.
高は鳥の高じゃなくて高い低いの高が正しいけれど。
え？じゃあ高野先生とは本当は同じ名字なのかね？それはますますびっくりだね。しかも
二郎さんたら運命的だなんて大げさな。別に運命でも何でもないのよ。
Yeah, no problem. It would be the same as, like, in English you might have, what's a common name? Like Steven, where you have, like, it might be S-T-E-V-E-N or S-T-E-P-H-E-N, like Stefan, Steven. Although a lot of times people pronounce it the same. Just that the way they have it, there's more meaning to it than just, like, how you spell it. Feven. This is news to me. I heard Takano-san discovered documents about the Himizawa Syndrome left by Dr. Takano after his death and decided to continue his research. I've never heard of them being related before. I mean, Western names, they still have meaning, but I feel like people care less about the meaning when choosing a name. When you have, like, most people, I feel like when you're having a child, you don't care as much about the meaning behind the child's name. It's more like one of my ancestors had it, or I just think this is a good sounding name. You don't think as much like, oh, this name means like the rock of my family, or like whatever it means historically.
前で高野先生が私の祖父だと話したのは小泉のおじいちゃんを除いたら
In high school, I had a friend named Steven, and it was with the PH, but he always wanted to become a doctor, so when people asked him if it was Steven with a V or a PH, he'd say, no, it's Steven with a PhD, thank you very much.
そうだったのかい。なるほどね。
For anyone who's looking up the meaning of their name, please be very careful not to dox yourself. Just gonna say that now. In like English, a lot of last names are based around either where you're from, your occupation. So if you have like Smith, Baker, like those kinds of names are occupation based. You have stuff like Leonardo da Vinci, just means he was Leonardo from Vinci, the town of Vinci. If you get more like Scandinavian names, like Friedrichsson, Henderson, it's just the son of Hender, and so on and so forth. Funny story, Chaos. Funny story. Our company was doing interviews a couple weeks ago, and our boss, he'll do like a first round of interviews with people, and like, you know, whittle out the people who aren't even worth like doing a technical interview with, because we work with website design and mobile design. And then he'll filter in the next ones, and he'll be like, okay, here are people that have passed step 1, here's their resume, and, you know, we'll schedule time and interview them. Of course, we try to really, you know, read everyone's resume and, you know, like do a search, LinkedIn, especially like GitHub, if they have like code that we can go through and see like, have they written any meaningful code. We had one person who applied, who was very unfortunately, the first hit when you Google their name is a porn star with one of their names spelled like, it's phonetically the same, but it's spelled differently. So it's like the Steven PHV. So unfortunately, if you Google them, the first hit that comes up is Pornhub. So, unfortunate, but no fault of their own. I understand very clearly now. She really did inherit the work her grandfather wasn't able to complete.
医学的見地からだけでなく、古文書などの文献からもHinamizawa症候群を探っていたの。
Can we chat quote Deadbeard on that?
Hinamizawa症候群と何百年にもわたって共にあった村の文献を調べること。何百年。
なるほどね。だとしたら自分の完成できなかった研究をこれだけ立派に。
So also funny story. So my name, there's someone in. Excuse me. There's someone in the UK who has the exact same name as me, who at one point was like a musician, not super famous, but like enough. And when I think I was 17 at the time, I got a DM from this woman like, hey, my name, I'm the girl you hooked up with last night, so wanted to, you know, to say, you know, thanks for a wonderful time and can we meet up again? And at first I'm like, okay, this is just spam. And then, so I ignored it. A couple days later, I get a message from the person with the same name being like, hey, sorry for that mix-up. She, like, didn't look at, like, your profile or anything, just saw the same name, just sent you a message. So that was an interesting story of how I learned that there is at least one person in the world who shares my name. I said something Takano-san wouldn't normally tease me about, but she didn't. She nodded and smiled. There's no mistake, she's indeed the granddaughter of Dr. Takano.
祖父がひふみで1、2、3
There you go. So here's the meaning of their name. Her grandfather's name is literally counting 1, 2, 3, and her name is counting 3, 4.
私は祖父を継ぎ、ようやく3を共に数えたに過ぎない。そして祖父の次の4を数え、私も祖父もまだ見ぬ。
Chaos, our chats are just like memes back and forth these
私
days.
の使命であり、生まれてきた理由でもある。
それでミオという名前なんだね。素敵な名前だと思うよ。
ありがとう。私が孫だという話を内緒にしてほしいの。クライアント。
うん、わかったよ。これは僕と高野さんの秘密ということで。
One story to wake you. Well, it's only a small secret. It feels good to think that I'm the one and only who knows about it.
私はようやく3を数えただけ。まだ4にすら至っていない。研究の道のりはまだまだ険しく長いけれど、私は最後までやり抜くわ。必ず。
僕もそれを応援するよ。本当それが僕の役割だしね。
もうそういう余計なことを言わなければ十分かっこいいのに。
するよ。君を応援する。
2度言い直してもダメね。1回で言えなくちゃかっこよくはならないわね。
We laughed cheerfully together. And after we finished laughing, she became serious again, and spoke as if to drive the point home.
だから二郎さん、くれぐれも私が孫だって言わないようにね。
言わないよ。約束する。
孫だからいけないということはないけれど、クライアントがそれを知って不快に思ったら予算を切られるようなことがあるかもしれない。
そんなことはないと思うよ。第一、僕は喋らないしね。
What nonsense have you sent me, Chaos?
絶対よ。
I assume that's Chaos.
絶対よ。
I've got a screenshot from both you and Deadbeard.
私はこの研究のために命をもらったの。祖父の研究を完成させることだけが私の使命。踏みにじられた研究が世界を驚かす偉大なものであったことを証明し、土の下で朽ちる祖父をたたえさせ、神に昇華させること。それだけが私の生きる理由であり目的なの。二郎さん。
I love how both of you just sent me the exact same thing, which is just the meaning of your first names.
もしそれを邪魔するような不用意な言葉をあなたがうっかり漏らして研究に支障が出たならば。
大丈夫だよ。ここで聞いた話は忘れるよ。本当さ。いや、絶対に口外しない。僕は約束は守るよ。
Hey, just because your first name, once you combine it with your last name, maybe you get something even better.
絶対に言わない。
絶対よ、二郎さん。
I sensed something frightening within her for a moment. Afraid she'd end up possessed by it, I swore to keep the promise. Her intellectual curiosity as a researcher, and her conviction to complete her grandfather's work, what stirs her passion for researching Himizawa Syndrome. I think there's one more reason, but it's far too deep. It's within a wound that her heart... It's within a wound in her heart that someone like me should never touch. Earlier, she said, "You create problems for my research." Wonder what she wanted to say after that. Can't help but think she wanted to say something terrifyingly merciless. I kept my promise with her, and we never talked about the issue again after that. I don't know if you caught that very end of the sound of that. You got a little bit mixed in of the sound that they make when someone goes crazy or dealing with someone who's crazy. The implication being that the nerve that Jiro touched on Takano drove her a little bit crazy. Here's its anti-you. I have an image of what that means. That was this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. Okay, so 26. Back on screen 1. Deadbeard looked up my real name, and the definition is, she's slowly regaining facial features as she tries to kill us. Should I be worried? Okay, we're at the third sacrifice, which is gonna be the death of Rika's parents. So each of these quote-unquote sacrifices relates to one of the yearly deaths. The situation has changed. Rika's father suddenly changed his mind about having her help out with the research. When Rika came down from a high fever the other day, her mother wasn't happy with her daughter helping in the first place, finally blew up. I was hoping the father would convince her somehow, but now he seems to be on her side. Rika's father didn't get emotional like her mother, but he demanded that we make our research plans for Rika clear, and we finish our research within 3 months at most, which was completely unrealistic. Well, don't forget, my bot was named with this meaning in mind. The research can't have a deadline. That's out of the question. We cultivate results by grinding down our knowledge, skills, and time. To take time away from us is like taking away what's vital to live. How could you say such a thing? Curses, curses, curses. Rika's parents are only saying that because they don't know anything about scientific research. However, they are the parents of the Queen Carrier. We are completely lost about what to do. Testing experiments on the Queen Carrier are an essential part of our research into Himizawa Syndrome. Her existence is the focal point of our work. To lose her would be like losing your sense of direction out in open water. Rika's providing her cooperation with our research, but with the withdrawal of her guardian's consent, it could be a setback. The situation is extremely dire. Rika's parents are only interested in finding a cure. To me, the cure is only a small part of solving the mystery. I can't let her go. Are her differences causing this predicament? Not only that, the same thing is happening between Irie and me. He thinks it's inevitable that we need to stop the research if Rika's parents refuse to consent. That's understandable. From the beginning, Irie never had the determination to solve the mysteries of Himizawa Syndrome. He won't back down from the research assertively, but he will passively by agreeing with Rika's parents. Is that the attitude of a researcher who's trying to unravel mysteries? The type of man who would step on my grandfather's research with his dirty feet. He's nothing but a coward, and this half-heartedly, he started to feel guilty over the past. The moment he saw blood, he isn't qualified to even be involved in researching Himizawa Syndrome. He's simply an outsider who joined because of the client's demands. If I were a man, he wouldn't be here in the first place. Well, it's true, he produced wonderful results. His development of a cure, he seems to think it's alright to close up shop with that. Is he planning to waste everything by being satisfied with just that tiny result? That man doesn't have any right to discard my father's research. I can feel my guts boiling. Okay, buddy. No, Irie isn't the main person at fault. One blame here is that woman, Rika's mother. If she wasn't so selfish, this wouldn't have happened. Maybe it's partially my fault. I maintained trusted relationships and obligations all this time, but somehow Rika's mother and I didn't get along, so I didn't try to socialize with her. I thought it was fine, because I got along with Rika and her father. Now the mother's influenced the father and changed his decision. What negligence, what a reversal, what a blunder. Irie is saying we should talk to the office in Tokyo about what to do next. I know once Tokyo finds out about this, they'll order us to shut the research down. I've worked so hard to even get things started. If they hear anything negative, they'll put a stop to it. I've come too far to complete my grandfather's research. I can't let it be stopped. I still have a little time to think about this. I need to come down and analyze this carefully. I always come up with a great plan when I drink my favorite tea and bite my nails like this. I looked up at the ceiling and closed my eyes, as tenderly as possible. Like it. There were times where I couldn't find a solution, but someone else came up with a simple one. I've been able to overcome everything that's been thrown at me. I even endured the hell at that orphanage. I'll never let the woman get in the way. Settle your thoughts down. Think about this clearly. Calm, Yotakana. Someone else may come up with a better idea. But who? It's not me. It can't be Irie. Of course, somebody from the village will do. Or talk to someone in Tokyo? No, I can't. I don't want to owe anyone a favor. Even Koizumi-sensei would be disgusted if he finds out I can't solve such a simple matter by myself. Ah, I know. Someone I can talk to nearby. They're supposed to be my subordinates after all, so it's worth a try. I called the leader of the mountain dogs, Okanagi. The mountain dogs are my subordinates, but they're part of the self-defense force, and I'm just a researcher. So he never really had a chance to interact. He did what he was supposed to, and I did what I was supposed to, so I never even thought of discussing anything with him. But the mountain dogs are there to protect and support our research. Why didn't I think of talking to him before? Yeah, you're just fighting over Deadbeard. Just remember, when you two are done fighting and have your makeup sex, the beard stays on. He used to speak standard Japanese, but now he has the Hinamizawan accent. I guess fitting into the region is the first thing they need to do.
女王感染者の協力が受けられなくなるばかりか、騒ぎ立てる母親によって研究所の所在が暴かれる危険性もある。山犬で何か手は打てる?
Asked Okanagi rather directly, not really expecting an answer, but...
了解しました。山犬で対応します。お時間をいただければきれいにやりますよ。
対応？
警察沙汰にならんようにしますんで、少々の準備は必要ですが。難しい仕事じゃありませんね。
I'm startled. Rika's mother is my enemy. I was thinking about how I could convince her, but the leader of the mountain dogs, the counterintelligence unit whose duty it is to protect the secret research, came up with a much simpler plan.
殺すということ。
入江機関の機密保持にあたっては、最悪の場合、それも持参ちゅう話のはずですが、もちろん、ご命令があって初めて実行することですが。
Right, this is a very simple problem to him. His mother started to interfere with our research. Not only that, there's a chance that she might talk to people about the Institute, so they will eliminate her.
それは確かにうまい手ね。うまくやれるの?
The toupee can come off, but do the foot pedals stay on? I remember now. The mountain dogs are the ones who kidnapped the grandson of the Minister of Construction and used that to blackmail him. It's been a few years, so I completely forgot about that. They did such a marvelous job then. That's right. I have the mountain dogs on my side.
はすぐにでも可能？
ただ殺すだけなら今夜にでも。ただ、それでは騒ぎが大きくなりますんで、そのための時間さえもらえれば。
It's like a cat's eyes under a bright light. I feel something in the back of my eyes open up. Up until now, I've been racking my brain trying to figure out how I can make her my ally. Or at least make her surrender or pacify her. Get one order to this man and the problem's easily solved. I feel like a bird taking its first flight. How easily I can get rid of that annoying mother. All I have to do is give an order. I feel grateful to Koizumi-sensei for giving me such terrific subordinates. What a wonderful power he's given me. I was taught that all people are equal. If I have the power to control people's lives, then that means I'm more important than they are. What a feeling it is to be above others. Panic shaves. Gabby will say, "Please don't tell me where you're gonna put my fingers. I don't want to know." I actually watched Beetlejuice for the first time like 2 days ago.
いや、ちょっと待って。
Does he mean only Rika Furude's mother? I feel chills all over my body. Possible, maybe I should have her father disappear too. Rika's willing to help. She has no other relatives in the Furude family. Both parents died just to depend on someone. So, it was not the movie I expected at all. Like, from all I known about Beetlejuice beforehand is, he summoned the Beetlejuice by calling his name 3 times, and then he does stuff and you want to get rid of him. Cat, I didn't call your name 3 times. Hey, buddy. So, honestly, it wasn't what I was expecting it to be. For its time, I thought it actually had really good special effects when, you know, they weren't, like, outside of their house, and that was utterly campy and ridiculous. But other than that, like, it wasn't what I was expecting, but I liked it. To me, after watching, like, the first 30 minutes, I was like, this feels like the like, horror comedy version of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. We can give her status, money, and protection. We can give her everything. Doing so, maybe it's possible to make her one of us, rather than just having her as a helper. All my worries are melting away. Everything I was just concerned about seems like a joke now. I had such powerful subordinates all this time, yet I never realized. All my tensions being released, I started to feel relaxed. I feel myself regaining my cool head. I'm gonna get rid of them. Rika's parents, that is. Queen Carrie is my guinea pig. Bloody Mikey. A guinea pig doesn't need parents. That's right, it's almost time for the Watanagashi festival. If they die on that day, people will call it the Curse of Oishiro-sama. Murder case from 2 years ago. That accident. Oh, she doesn't know. Her and Irie didn't talk about last year, so she still thinks it's an accident and not the knowledge that Irie has that Satoko actually killed them. Which is why she also didn't think of the mountain dogs, because Irie had the mountain dogs cover up the incident and make it look like an accident. He's probably updating, sending more screen caps to make sure that people don't think of him as a god, as the duck god. But if her parents' deaths occur on this year's Watanagashi, it'll be Oishiro-sama's curse 3 years in a row. The miracle of Oishiro-sama. Also, the curse. I'm gonna create them. Chance for me to ascend to godhood and toy with human fate. think they're better than everyone and quack at those beneath them. Well done, Sam says, I have not been able to get a nightmare done. I've been able to narrow it down to like those 2 or 3 final ghost types, and I've picked the wrong one every time. Even when me and the coworker I played with, we'd get it down to like 3. We'd each pick different ones, so at least one of us would hopefully be right, and we've always been wrong. Ah, makes sense. What is the unique spirit box response? Like, I know ghosts have unique stuff, and I know that there's like some rare stuff that happens. There's the one that it can pretend like it's one of your the fellow players, and it walks around as if it's them, and then it just disappears. I know there's that one, which is pretty cool. Ah, okay. I don't think I've gotten that one before. There's another one that I've only had happen at once or twice, where when you're talking in the ghost room, it parrots back what you've said, but with like a demonic filter over it. Internet, you doing okay? Okay. Dang it, internet. Okay. Are we back? Okay, are we back online? Dang it, Sam says, why'd you bring your ghost here to ruin my internet? Boy, what did we say? No second comings. Okay, there we go. Yeah, sorry, my whole internet died for whatever reason. Well, it looks like we're back. Happens 3 years in a row, then everyone has to leave, because that'll be a true curse. It's created by me. I'll become Oeshiro-sama. Sorry for revenge against God is coming together.
ただ消すだけではなんだか面白みがないと思わない
Duck Lord. Why'd he come in here asking for a scold? Shouldn't you be off commanding all those beneath you in your cult to go do your bidding? I'm sure you have more important things to do than to come in here and ask to be scolded. I'm semi-excited to see the changes that are coming with ads in August. I'm hoping it means more control for us. Because right now, from what I've heard from people, depending on how the ads are set, there's like some sneaky stuff where they sneak in ads anyways, and it doesn't always work as intended. So I'm hoping part of that update is more clarity around around what there'll be. Sir Talabokonogi grinned and showed his interest.
お社様のたたりを作ってみるの。
I can't just let her die. She'll be demoned away, and I'm going to enjoy dissecting her. Oh, we dissect her alive. Of course, I won't just have fun. It's been extremely useful for our research. After all, she was the previous Queen Carrier. Dang it, Deadbeard. Well, you can all blame Deadbeard for making us all lose the game. Which one was that? Third sacrifice, 26. Deep down, I was prepared for something to happen tonight, once again. The first year, the workers were stirred into a frenzy, killing and dismembering the old man. Second year, the Hojo couple were killed through a fake accident. Since the dam protests, only people who have been hated by the villagers died on the day of the Wanagashi. Some people in the village were calling the incidents the curse of Oyashiro-sama and accidentally pushing buttons. Now that the dam protests are over, there would be no meaning in the village's enemies being killed on the night of the festival, I thought. If that was true, there would still be some enemies left over. I thought that perhaps that would happen again on the night of the festival 3 years in a row. My hunch was right. First, however, it looked so natural that I didn't think anything of it. Your Birdo? The festival was nearing its end. The village officials were gathered under the main tent. They opened their beers and enjoyed the leftover corn and braised cow tripe from the refreshment stands. I was in the main tent too, being entertained by the villagers. I was actually there at the scene of the third year's incident when it happened, but I didn't notice anything at the beginning. Most of the older folks in the village were heavy drinkers, but a few were lightweights too. The priest was one of the latter. The priest was a representative as well as a host during the Wanagashi festival. Every time villagers and visitors and guests arrived, he greeted them. Each time he was offered a drink, so that by the night's end he was pretty worn out. Well, I didn't think of anything to see the priest sitting by himself in a folding chair. The mayor, Kimiyoshi, was the one to tap his shoulder to ask him if he was alright. When I saw what was going on, I noticed he was covered in a terrible sweat, and was definitely not relaxing in his chair enjoying the cool evening breeze. His face had a sickly pallor. I thought he should lie down immediately. I assume we're supposed to be talking as if we're Irie.
神主さん、調子が悪いらしいぞ。
うちの人どうかしたんですか？あなた？
高野さん、ちょうど良いところに。
Yes, perfect timing. The person who's planned to kill him.
神主さんの具合が悪いようなので診療所に連れて行きます。すみませんが、境内の下に車を回してもらってもよろしいですか？
ええ、お安いご用ですわよ。
The priest and his wife headed to the clinic with Dr. Irie. I don't know about young people, but the elderly know their bodies well. They almost never push themselves to the point where they start feeling ill. Especially someone like the priest. It was hard to imagine him drinking himself sick. The cumulative experience in my years was telling me something. I headed to the Irie clinic just in case. Okay, so we're not Irie. Maybe we're, Oishi? Just trying to think who else would be there. Who has a car? In, like, 1980. In a very rural town. I tried to follow their car, but because the festival was almost over, all the stands were closing up. There's a lot of traffic going in and out, making it almost impossible for me to leave the temporary parking lot. More than 20 minutes had passed since the priest was carried in by the time I arrived at the clinic. 20 minutes. If it hadn't taken me 20 minutes, my involvement in this year's incident would have been quite different. I regretted not leaving on foot the moment I realized how hard it was to get my car out. Yes, cars were around the 80s, just who in rural Japan in the 80s would afford a car? All I get to do now is jot down the facts. Because between the time the priest left the festival and the time I arrived at the clinic, during those 20 minutes, this year's curse had taken place. The priest's condition changed for the worse right after he arrived at the clinic. He died. The autopsy results say it was heart failure. How can I accept that? I don't think the priest was having health problems, and everyone was taken by surprise by this sudden event. Moreover, the wife of the priest disappeared too. I saw a meme that I sent to some of my coworkers the other day, and it's the one where young Anakin and was that Padme are like in the field, and Anakin's like, the world's reverting to 1975, and Padme's like, so that means I can afford a house, right? I can afford a house, right? According to the clinic staff, he was with him right after he died, but she's nowhere to be seen now. Of course, she's not at home either. Maybe someone poisoned the priest. During the dam conflict, the police was frowned upon for his remarks. He said there was no need to make a big fuss because the dam project would be cancelled anyway. The older villagers liked to hold grudges, and hadn't forgotten that. So even I had heard the word of him talking about how the priest wasn't fit for the shrine of Oyashiro-sama. I called for backup and had them go search for the missing wife. Last year's fallen couple incident was precedent. It was easy to believe both wife and husband could become victims. The village's youth group got organized and searched from the village to the mountains, and as a result, we found a set of sandals and a will by the edge of Onikafuchi Swamp. The will said something about how her husband's death was the curse of Oyashiro-sama, and how she was throwing herself in the swamp to calm the god's anger. In other words, she committed suicide by jumping into the swamp. Legends say that the swamp is bottomless and connected directly to hell. Once you sink, you'll never come back. Divers from the police department searched the swamp, but her body was nowhere to be found. The past two mysterious incidents were solved individually, just as the higher-ups say, but something's odd about this year's mysterious death. The old priest was carried to the clinic. His wife accompanied him. Within 20 minutes, the priest died of heart failure, and the wife committed suicide or disappeared. The death of the priest may really have been a fatal heart attack, but for his wife to assume that it was the curse and to commit suicide by jumping into the swamp, for all that to happen in 20 minutes just doesn't seem natural. The Furude family has no relatives. If she was a true believer in Oyashiro-sama, how could she commit suicide while leaving behind her one and only daughter? Irie is hiding something too. But he's just a village doctor, which means he's nothing more than their pawn. This is all a conspiracy to assassinate the priest, then there is someone who's pulling the strings. I've been starting to think that trying to tie the past two incidents to the village so forcefully was a bit overbearing of me, but this incident was enough to convince me that a series of cases involving mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa, all grounded in one intention. This incident had countless numbers of discrepancies, but someone from the village seemed to be putting pressure on high command. It's like the past incidents, this one will be treated as an individual case and end up being forgotten. Since it happened 3 years in a row, everyone in the village will say it's the curse of Oyashiro-sama. I think that's the culprit's goal. After the war, belief in Oyashiro-sama became antiquated. Someone committing these murders, it's a ritual to restore that god's dignity. The one pulling the strings must be the Sonozaki family. A few months passed. Oryo Sonozaki said something like, it was natural for that priest to be cursed by Oyashiro-sama. And so the priest case was lumped together with the mysterious Hinamizawa deaths, otherwise known as Oyashiro-sama's curse. At first, I simply wanted to avenge the old man. But now that the craze had grown into an abnormal one centered on the village's faith, damn it, the old man's killer is human. I won't let it be pushed off into some nonsense curse. Which one was that? This one, yeah? That was 27. We're officially halfway done, but I think that's where we're going to call it for tonight.